This program is rated MA. It contains adult themes, coarse language, sexual references, and violence.
All right, what's up, everybody? It's Open Comms. It's Friday night. We're pretty much all here. I'm Drayden. We got Dirk here. We got Rain here. We got Brisk. We got LB. And joining us also is Jin Tan. How's it going, man? He's starting early.
Pretty good, thank you. How you doing?
Gin and juice.
Sipping on gin. Yeah. Yeah, so, as far... Well, okay, so we weren't going to start off with CSM, obviously. Let's get rid of that.
So of course you start out off with it, right?
Well, we have Eve Russia. Eve Russia's happening.
It's a little tease for later.
Yeah,
Eve
unfortunately
Russia is such a tease
Russia's
because we
like-
can't watch it live. I mean,
That's
that
fine.
sucks.
Actually, you guys want to hear like a cute anecdotal story about Eve Russia? So you know how I lived up? When I was in BL, we lived in Vino, K3J, and like it's notoriously known for Russian station camping there. So I'm talking to Miss Moses, and she says, "Hey, I have my friends messaging you," and it's, oh gosh, I don't know if I can say his names. Nuterus and James Horton send their regards. And then they say, "You're really cool, thank you." Like they're using Miss Moses to like message me because they apparently went to Eve Russia, and instead of just like trash talking me, they're actually like sending cute messages. And like I was just like, I was at work, like fucking midday at work, and I was just like super fucking like touched that they were like so nice to not only to Miss Moses but then also to me. Because when we play Eve, we just sit there and shit talk each other in local, like we're super rude, just a bunch of trash talk. But these guys are actually super nice.
That's impressive because
It is.
when I think of super nice, the idea of Russians
first
being
thing that comes
super
to mind
nice
is the
doesn't always
Russians.
just jump in my face.
Yeah,
That's
no, the
interesting.
Eve Russians are like so sweet, and like I'm super excited that CCP is like celebrating them in Russia now.
Yeah,
That's
I've
good.
been
I
there.
kind
I've
of
heard the same thing from
I
Miss
wish
Moses
we
as
could
well.
have had a little bit more of an idea of like how everything's actually going over there because they can't stream it. Is it a bandwidth thing? So like the bandwidth is too low. They can't
That was the
get a
my
solid
understanding.
enough stream out. So, Streamfleet is over there recording everything, and they're going to be releasing the video stuff for it when they get back. I'm assuming, but there's no live coverage.
It sounds like they're trying to do it on like the Wi-Fi from the link.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like we got our show on the Wi-Fi from the link.
No, we were hardwired in.
Streamfleet took good care of us.
We were hardwired in.
But did they have like the super internet package, or was it just?
They had everything. They were badass. I mean, Moses and Raiden ran that thing like.
Well, no, I know they ran it. I'm just saying, like, because the Wi-Fi or hardwired, you get the same connection speed. It's just the Wi-Fi, I think, was just really shitty. You just constantly drop from it, but, or there's like this really high-end internet package you get, but I think it was like $2,000 a day or something. I'm pretty sure they didn't go with that.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, it's it sounds like the event is running fairly smoothly, or at least is going to. We don't know. It hasn't really started yet, from what I understand. Saturday's going to be the big day.
Yeah, I mean, it must be what? I don't know. It's less than 12 hours from now that it's got to begin, right? I mean,
it's early
tweets.
Morning in Russia right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm seeing tweets from them at like out doing whatever it is they're doing at like way.
Well, I mean, you have to get up early for events.
Yeah.
Like if you're not like just a plebeian player, you actually have to get up at like 6 or 7 and like get in and get shit done. Unfortunately.
Was tonight their time? Was that when they were having the cruise? Was there some sort of like a cruise thing that they were doing? I mean,
I don't know about you guys, but I'm
tomorrow-
not getting on a boat in Russia. That
tomorrow's
sounds
the actual-
dangerous.
yeah, I mean, well, no, because they were talking about something about the canals or something. You know, I guess.
I think that was the
river-
end of
riverboat
Amsterdam.
cruises.
Was there?
I'm sure that wasn't. Yeah, Amsterdam.
Yeah, I think
That was the
we
end.
might.
I
do
think I
that.
remember them do. Now I don't know if this is the thing
was
with
a Ms.
Russia,
Moses
but there was a
tweet, but-
cruise. I don't know if it was like around.
Yeah, there was a
Finland or
cruise in
Norway or
Amsterdam.
something.
There was a cruise in Amsterdam that all the players
Oh.
went on.
Okay.
But I think that might be what you're thinking of. Duh.
Yeah, that might have been. It was a while ago. I remember that they were hyping up a big cruise that was not the Alaskan one.
You don't crossfade it, and I know more about what's going on in the world than you. Get owned, dude.
Well, hey, I'm surrounded by
Oh,
mountains.
Tammy Cowboy saying there's a cruise in St. Petersburg as well.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Tammy.
All right, fair enough. I take it back, Dirk. You win. You win.
I know I win because I just linked the freaking tweet of them on the boat. I'm trying to figure out. If that was just a side type thing that was going on, or if this was the. I thought there was supposed to be like a dinner type cruise or something along those lines. Cruises with the devs or something. And I think that's what this is. Since I'm seeing Ms. Moses with CCP Archduke, one of the our GM Archduke. Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, he's a GM.
Man, that's...
Do we want to talk about the tournament? The Streamfleet Invitational Showdown?
Yeah.
How's that going, Jim?
Well, hold on a second. Before we get to that, just want to go over a couple. You know what, Briss? We're gonna skip that thing. I was gonna
That's
ask
fine.
you about. Yeah, that's fine. A couple just quick show notes. That there is a 64-bit client test on Sissy on May 7th. If you can happen to log into the Singularity server and help them test out the 64-bit server. I think it would be beneficial to everybody if we can actually mass test this thing.
Hint, hint, wink, wink to the players to not sabotage it.
Right.
Well, just all they gotta do is do what we did last time, which is show up with all your Titans and DD everybody. It was fine.
It's not how you mass test.
Why can't you mass test in Titans?
You do what the devs tell you to do. That's how they have it. I remember.
Whatever.
I'm trying to remember. There was one where they were just like, "Yeah, guys, spam log in and log out," and that's all I did on CC, and apparently it helped them. So.
And then the other thing is, I don't know. Apparently, make sure you log on every day. We've got Eve's Sweet 16 birthday party currently in effect. The official day is May 6th.
Legal.
Yeah, I logged in last night. Got two Gnosis.
Genocide.
Good
No
no sign.
sigh. No
It's
sigh.
it's a silent G, Rain. Get cultured.
No, good no, it's
Noise.
not.
Good no, not. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, it runs from the 2nd, which was yesterday, to the 20th. So you've basically got, 18 or 19 days here. I don't know exactly. It must be I guess it runs to the downtime on the 20th. So, okay, so 18 days, whatever. To be able to log in 16 of those days to get it all. Now, if you're an Omega, you're getting better things, and obviously if you're an Alpha, but they are giving it where after it's over, you can actually, as an Alpha, decide to subscribe and retroactively claim your good things, which, along with things like, Gary Gnosis and skins and fireworks and things like that, right? It's a little more than 1 million skill points total if you log in all the time and claim your shit.
Yeah. Now I haven't gotten any skill points yet. Do they? Oh, the skill
Different
points.
days.
Okay,
Different
that's
days.
that's day
It's
4.
coming later on.
I
Yeah,
think it's
day
day
1
3
you
or
got the
4, the first one
skin
comes
and the
in.
Gnosis, the skin crate and the Gnosis. Just logged in now.
Yeah.
Wings of Victory fireworks and Impetus Potency -50 Glamorex
And you can-
booster.
So, but you can see the next couple days kind of grayed out, and I forget.
Yeah, you can see out the whole
the
thing.
first 25,000 skill points batch is either day 3 or day 4 or something like that. But anyways, you've got 18 days to log in, 16 out of those 18 days, and get your stuff.
So you can take 2 days off.
Happy birthday, Eve.
All right, now can I talk about my tournament?
Yes, talk about
Mhm.
Jim's
Hell
turn.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my bad. Go ahead.
Do a shot for birthday Eve.
So we've actually, yeah, shots. Are we in shots?
We'll do shots.
Yeah, happy birthday Eve. All right. All right, back to you, Jin. You were about to start something.
Yeah, tournament. So, we'd planned to kind of run this originally on the 20th to the 27th, but the tournament tool simply wasn't operational for that first day. So we had to schedule the first day for the 27th, and unfortunately Eve Russia means that I can't record anything this weekend because EQ, who is obviously our streamer, and Moses and Raiden, who are all very important to making sure that we get like a high quality recording. Those guys are all, kind of indisposed by being in another country, and in a country that does not have great access, like in terms of upload and download speeds, as CCP found out when they tried to stream Eve Russia. But we were able to run the first day of the tournament successfully with the tool. It just wasn't able to be streamed because we only got access to it with little enough time before the tournament that we didn't feel confident enough in setting up a broadcast. We would have had to have rescheduled so many people, and it just wasn't something that we felt we could do at the quality that would have done the tournament itself justice, because it was something we spent a lot of time on, especially myself. I think people can probably see that in the amount of press releases that went out about it, and all the advertising that went up. It took a lot of work, and it wasn't just from myself, it was from a lot of really wonderful people in the community, like Manic Velocity and Rix Javix, who came together to help us kind of make what I think is one of the prettiest tournaments that you've ever seen, at the very least. And we're still working to bring that to you guys, just not in a live format. You guys should have been able to see the first 4 matches, and we're going to put out the other 6 that we were able to record from the first day out over the course of the next week, hopefully. And that's going to tell you who's going to actually make it through to the second day, which will be played out on the 11th.
Cool.
So how many rounds is this thing?
It'll be 17 matches in total, but it's an 8-person tournament with like a double elimination-ish qualification bracket to a single elimination tournament on the second day of tournament.
And how far are we along now?
We're 1 day in, so
Okay,
I know like who's actually won. Who's gotten to the second day, but those videos have not been released yet, so I can't spoil that for you guys. But we do have the first 4 matches, and my personal favorite, if you're looking for one to start with, is absolutely check out the Brave Newbies versus Goons, like, opening match. It's super duper fun. It goes really, really close, and it goes really long. And it kind of shows the interesting parts of the format. There are no logistics, so there's a lot of more interesting piloting, a lot of brawling. There's some super weird ships that get picked because there's an Eris in there. Not an Ares, an Eris. That's ERIS.
That's the Dictor.
Yeah, you've never seen that before on
That
TQ.
no one
It's
ever
the only
uses.
name tanked ship in the game, because you say the Eris and no one knows what the fuck ship you're talking about, because no one's ever heard that before.
Is that an AT ship?
No. It's a T1. Well, not T. It's a T2 destroyer.
It's the
it's
Galantis.
I know the
It's
Eris
the-
and Under the Saber. It's the other two that the Flycatcher and I
Flycatcher.
never can remember the
Heretic.
Amar
Heretic,
No one ever flies a Heretic, so I never remember what the Amar Dictor is. But
We have guys that fly heretics.
If
Some
you fly
people
like
do.
armor of comms, then yeah. Otherwise, a lot of times it's like, fuck it, suicide your sabers.
Yeah. But no,
Eris
it's
isn't
been
that the
really
bad
fun to
catalyst?
watch out. It's been really fun to watch out, and I'm hoping the team has enjoyed it as much as I did, and from what I know they did as well. So take a look if you're interested in tournament stuff.
Awesome. So the tools ended up working. You just didn't have time to get the stream out.
Yeah, the tools. There was also some unfortunate issues that meant that we couldn't run the stream as well on the first day. It didn't have the capacity because it was hard coded to only work on one system at that point. And in order to get a broadcast working with how much prep work it takes to get a team ready to go to a match, you have to have either like 20 to 30 minutes of analysis to fill between the matches, or you have to run matches kind of in parallel. So you have like match 1 getting prepped in one arena whilst match 2 is being shown, so that you can do like 10 minutes of analysis and then go back to the second match and keep it in like kind of a staggered format like that. So you need to have 2 arenas, you need to have a lot of prep time and stuff like that. And unfortunately, that wasn't something we had.
Now, was the tournament tool working in terms of functionality of being able to, check ships for, regulated fits and all that kind of stuff?
Yep, all
Okay.
of the actual like functionality of the tool when we got our hands on it on the 27th was perfectly fine.
But it was only working. You can only do it in one location, so that's what you were saying about how you couldn't like.
That was
begin
what
to
happened
prep
when
the
we were
next fight.
testing it on Wednesday. I think that did get fixed. It's just that at this point, it's not a super reliable tool as well. It never is going to be, unfortunately.
Well, unless they take the time to, professionalize it and make it a tool, that's easy to use that anybody can set up. They just have to take the time to do it. If they were to do that, then that would solve this problem once and for all and make it easier to do these tournaments. But
No, I do
that's
really
the problem.
want to give like a huge shout out though, because like I know a lot of the conversation about the tournament has been super negative. I want to give a huge shout out to the people in CCP who tried really hard to make this work. There were people like Guard before he left. He was a huge influence on getting this pushed through. Dopamine did absolutely everything he could to get this together. Archduke and Fozzie both put in a ton of work to get the tool working for us on the 27th, so that we could salvage it. And I have to give those guys credit for really making this work. It's not like CCP didn't try here. Like I want to make that clear.
So, if everything's working, are you going to live stream the next days of the tournament, or are you still going to go with the pre-recorded commentary at it afterwards?
We're planning to commentate it afterwards, still, for that final day.
But they're not scripted fights, like someone was saying on Talking in Stations today.
No, they are not scripted fights. You can talk to the captains. They don't know who's going to win yet.
They find out right before the match, right?
Yeah, we book it like WrestleMania. That's why Brave Newbies are going to win the whole thing. So it's an underdog story.
there you go.
Brave #1.
Spoilers right here, boys.
Hey, Dunk's in
Speaking
the
of brave
audience.
newbies, I want to take a second. I want to thank Dunk. Dunk was kind enough to send me a bottle of Glenmorangie for all of the troubles that we went through the last couple of weeks, and I'm enjoying it tonight on the show. Dunk, you're the man. Thank you very much for that. This is pretty good scotch. I like it.
I haven't done a shot yet, but I'm going to do one now because I thought that was a hell of a gesture.
I agree.
Not just in terms of sending you the Brave shot glasses and the glass, right? But the little note that was attached to it. Drayden, I think I gave you a picture of that out there.
I'll put it up.
I thought that was a hell of a gesture. I just did. Whatever.
That's so cute.
I know, right? So now I have 3 Brave shot glasses. It's great.
Dude, can we talk
I'll
about
line
your
them up in
toaster?
a row.
Oh, Dunk's
I
there.
hope Dunk was watching, but I don't think. Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's there.
Thank you, Dunk.
Dunk is running for CSM, right?
Dunk is
He
right.
is.
Got my
CSM.
vote.
We'll get to the CSM. That's B block, but yeah, Dunk and a handful of others are going. Died. Ugh.
Yeah, right there.
Wait. Dunk's bringing up Triglavian industrial talk time.
Oh no.
I
Yeah,
don't
I-
build things. I don't do
Great time.
industry because I'm
Do you
not a nerd.
Do you want to talk about the
Well-
Triglavian stuff?
Well, okay, yeah. So look. I'm even wearing the T-shirt tonight. Apparently there was some Triglavian stuff that happened this week, and now honestly, I don't think we're going to get into talking about Triglavian industrial talk yet, Dunk. However, you're more than welcome to come on and fill those of us in who just don't freaking know about Triglavian industrialization.
Yeah.
However, one of the things that happened this week that got everybody freaked all out and talking and speculating and like, just getting all EV and whatnot like they do is that they showed an image of a really big, or what is being measured as a really big freaking ship. And apparently there's an invasion coming, and that means more than CCP coming to town with parties and shit. This whole invasion theme that they're carrying on appears to be related to a Triglavian invasion. There's some stuff that's coming out of the Singularity server now. There's stuff coming out of Hobo leaks. There's all kinds of stuff out there, and people are freaking their asses out over what it all means and when it's coming.
Invasion, like...
So,
Kind of like an
Who could
incursion.
have guessed that
Like an incursion?
CCP's big build-up of continual media releases and an ARG could be building to plot developments in EVE Online, the video game?
right.
This is very surprising and
So apparently this
unpredictable.
really big ship, okay, is an Ark class vessel, okay? So like something that you would put
Like
the
an
entire
Ark ship?
population on.
Like
An
the
Ark
entire population of the world.
Like 2 elephants and 2 penguins.
ship. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Oh.
I
I thought you meant like Ark the ship, like they're building like fucking freighters or something. I don't know.
No, an Ark more
Well,
like
just the
like,
Ark. That
here.
was amazing.
Think Homeworld.
Like Noah's Ark is what you're saying.
There we go. Or like at the end of 2012 when they're all getting on the Ark.
I
right?
believe
And,
I believe the technical term is it's a big boy.
It's pretty big.
Big boy.
Apparently, at least
Big.
again, at least based on kind of the measurements I've seen out there from the people that are responsible for this, like the players that do these measurements and things. It is as big as the width, okay, and it's wider than it is high, right? But
I just wish that we were back in the day when we still called supercarriers mums, so that we could call this daddy.
yeah.
Is that kind of the comparison that it is?
Let's
Or
put it
do
this
you
way.
just want to say daddy?
If sitting in between the uprights of a Keepstar, it supposedly kind of overlaps a bit each upright on the left and right. I mean,
So it's
it's
just
pretty...
as big as a Keepstar, is what you're saying.
No. It's not as
No.
big as a Keepstar. It is smaller
bridges the
in
gap.
width. It is smaller in width than the base of a Keepstar. Okay, so let's put it that way. So I mean, it dwarfs supercarriers. It dwarfs Titans. It is like huge if you believe that the images that have been put out there are representative of its size.
So the people measuring men or women? Because I think there's a big drastic difference between how it's actually measured.
I was waiting for that to
You know
come
what?
out. Like,
Of
when
course.
Dirk's like big or supposedly big, I was like, it's all relative. It's all relative
It's
and
all
up for
relative.
speculation, but
It looks pretty sizable. The fact that it's classified, as an Ark class vessel, is means that it should be really freaking big. Of course, the speculation comes in as to whether or not this is going to be a real vessel somehow in game. Is it going to be able to, is it something that can eat suns? Is it something that is going to go out there and wreck people's Keepstars? Is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? Is it going to do the other
Well,
thing?
wait,
And now
is
you're
it a
getting off
ship
into all the
or a
crazy stuff.
structure?
No, it's
Yes.
a ship. We think no, it's a ship. Apparently,
you
at least
know?
based on the Hobo leaks and things like that. It's a
Like the
ship.
stats.
yeah, I've been
or
hearing
whatever.
people talk about it. I haven't seen a picture for it yet.
Hold on, Anna
Sure,
Cedar.
Hello,
Pictures all over the
boys.
place.
Wait,
How do you not see that?
Anasir said
Yeah,
that
I'm
put
going
the
right
image
now.
on Talking of Stations Discord.
And I can't find one. Triglavian Super Capital.
Uh,
Put that in.
Noisy, it's so big Aerith's ego might fit inside it.
Now, see, this
Nice.
is not an image I've seen.
That's big. That's no moon.
Well, Chainsaw saying Mega Boss at the end of the Trig incursion, and don't normal like Sansha incursions, they have like the mom, right? Like the mothership that you have to kill at the very end, right?
And
And
Yeah,
that
because of
like,
Revenant.
drops your loot.
if
Yeah.
you've got the image where it is the ship or whatever it is in front of a Keepstar, if you could pop that in there, I'll give this to Drayden. But
Oh, Jalen's saying it's a mobile Keepstar.
A mobile kid.
I
It's
would
like a
need
Death
Does that
Star.
be a
on
ship
that.
though? Like, I mean,
I don't know if it's going to be a player ship. They haven't talked about player
No.
ships.
No, no
Well,
way.
Something for us to blow up.
Well, I mean, technically, CCP hasn't talked about this at all, right? Like,
See-
they brought up Triglavian, like new Triglavian ships coming, and when are the new Triglavian ships coming? May? Was that this month? But they haven't announced anything with differentiating space or changes to Trig space or Trig expansion type stuff. They just said there were 3 new ships.
So it's as big as an ass house, basically. Because I don't think that's the whole model on the left.
Is it the one on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an
I'm gonna be
Astra.
honest. That image that I linked to you, Drayden, in there, and what you guys are looking at. I don't know if you've actually put it up on screen or whatever.
I just linked it.
That is not the comparison to an Avatar I saw.
Okay,
Oh,
because I was like,
way
it's
bigger than
definitely
that.
bigger than
It's
the Avatar,
way
but not
bigger than a freaking
not-
Avatar. Like, yeah, I mean, and it's way, as far as I know, it is way bigger than an Astrahus.
Yeah, Anasir is saying that's one side of it.
Oh.
So the wire model is not complete.
It's a
on that picture.
collidable at the moment. Oh, so it's just like a structure sitting out in space.
Huh.
I wonder if they're gonna update Trig Space with it then to kind of show like, you know, you're invading their kind of home turf or whatever. A little bit more than just like having their ships out there.
Aren't they invading our turf though? Isn't that what it's
No,
supposed to
because
be?
like within Triglavian space, like when you go to Triglavian space, you're invading their world, which is why they're attacking you. But like, I guess if they come to K space or J space, then yeah, they'd be invading our turf. Well, J space. Is...
Manifest Destiny, motherfuckers. It's our space now.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to say, I don't know if, like lore-wise, if J space is considered ours. Like you have Jove space, and then you have like the drifters coming in and
Don't
doing
tell that
shit.
to the wormholers. They're gonna start complaining about
What'd you say? What'd you say about me?
about you know,
Collateral damage.
exactly.
Oh, wah wah. Can't find the button. So drifters and sleepers are in J space.
Drifters and sleepers considered the same thing, right?
No. No. Don't maybe get Astarothi on here.
Wait. Jove space has drifters or sleepers.
Jove is
Oh.
drift. No, I don't know. Others.
Dunk, what's the difference between a drifter and a sleeper?
Drifters are consciousnesses that came out of the things that the sleepers were put in. I can't remember what it's called.
I linked another one.
But
on Twitch,
effectively, the sleepers are all
Thank
put
you,
up, the
Anasir.
sleepers are all put up to a virtual reality mainframe, and inside those, that's where we believe that the drifters came from. They're effectively artificial intelligences that were spawned in the sleepers' virtual realities, and they escaped and harvested bodies of the sleepers to become their vessels in meat space in the real world.
But the point is,
so
the
White Walkers and
Triglavians
Eve.
don't like either of those people, and both those brains of people live in wormhole space. So I would expect to see Triglavian stuff happening in wormhole space as well.
I already got really confused by all this.
All right, let me
They're
explain.
coming.
Very, very
So
simple.
wait. So explain it in like Night King versus White Walker.
All right, now I'll explain. So
Explain it like we're
long ago there were the Jovians, and they roamed around partying a lot, and then they got kind of sick, and so the Jovians back then said, "Well, we're going to get rid of these bodies, and we're going to go live in virtual reality," and that's the sleepers, and the sleepers hid in the wormholes. You good so far?
Yeah, because then that's how you do ratting in wormholes is you fight the sleepers, right?
Yeah.
Right. Then some
Okay.
of the sleepers like got tired of being in virtual reality, and they kicked themselves out of virtual reality, but they're like, shit, we got no bodies. So they're the drifters, and that's why they're always looking around for people's bodies to steal, because they want to take caps of their bodies and go live in them.
So
Wait,
they're the
wait.
Lancers.
The drifter. Are you saying that the drifters were originally like people? Because I don't think that's how it was.
They were sleepers. This is the theory.
So it
Okay,
goes-
well, so we
so
don't know. Okay, I
Pokemon
thought.
wise, it's Jove, Sleeper, Drifter. If you're thinking of
That's
like
right.
a
Pokemon
position.
was-
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay.
And the Triglavians, we're guessing, were
It's
some
also worth
offshoot-
noting, by the way, just to make this even more confusing, that the sleepers are also Jovians. And that, yeah, it's
The
all
Pokemon
just
was
like-
the best one.
What the
It
fuck?
started as a Jovian.
Right. So they're
evolve into
confusing you.
sleepers.
They're confusing
Evolve
you.
into drifters.
So imagine that conjecture is the Triglavians were some of the Jovians that instead of going and hiding in the wormholes in VR, they went into the abyssal space. And so they've been hanging out in this abyssal space all this time.
And
Now
for some
that
reason,
Asmat
Abyssal
that we're
Space
coming
gives you
in
an Eastern
and being
European
like,
accent.
So this is like if you use like a certain like moonstone, you get the sleepers, or if you use like the sunstone, you get the Triglavians.
no, they're not fucking EVs, Rain.
Yes.
Yeah, but like
Yes.
that's how you gotta. Okay, thank you, Dunk. That's how you gotta compare them. You gotta like do analogies with me.
Right. I wouldn't get that.
I
Never.
didn't pass Pokemon 101.
It's like, you know, like you have Eevee, and Eevee can evolve into different ones if you use the different
you're-
stones.
You're the here with a Pokey
Yes.
PhD.
Yes,
So,
you're absolutely correct. That's basically what the conjecture is that happened.
So you put them in a wormhole, they turn into sleepers, but you put them in a Triglavian space, they turn into Triglavians.
That's
Sure, let's
our
roll
current.
with it.
That's our current guess, and what is going to happen, because you have not corrected your Virage flow, is the Triglavians are going to come out of abyssal space into probably K space, and they're going to tear some shit up because of reasons.
So get your Virage flow right.
So have they, because I know I've been hearing stuff and like seeing like the lore things kind of posted about like Uriel's like, oh my god, we're getting like Eve mails from it, and like people are getting YouTube videos, and like there's the stuff on the billboards. So like, how's that coming in with the Triglavians communicating with like Empire?
So if you
entities?
run the hardest level of the abyssal sites, you can get this thing called, I think, a semiosis console, and there's like 3 different kinds. If you get that and you survive and you take it out of the wormhole and you have it in your inventory, you will get like an Eve mail from the Triglavians, and it's a web link to these videos that you've been seeing posted online. Like the Triglavians are literally communicating directly with the players who've been in abyssal space.
So like with all the other like pirate entities and factions, and then like with the Jove drifters, sleepers, they've always been hostile. So then are these Triglavians trying to be friendly, or are they threatening us?
Yes.
I think it's probably going to be a little of both, but I think my guess, and I don't know, is they are going to appear in that World Ark, that giant ship, in basically incursion-like events all over New Eden, and Capsuleers are going to have to defend them at the instruction of Concord or Dead or whoever is supposed to be telling us to go defend New Eden.
Oh, okay.
So this seems like an NPC thing you gotta send capitals against.
Ooh, Concord and Dead are the exact same thing.
That'd be
Right. So just like when the Sotius, the Blood Raider, where the faction capital stuff drops, those kind of AIs, like I imagine that, but with Triglavian ships defending the World Ark, and it'll take large fleets to kind of beat them back and toss them back into the abyss.
DED stands for the Direct Enforcement Department, McLeod.
It just means dead.
You're dead.
So I have a cold, so can I talk about the industry stuff real quick before I
Yes.
run out of voice?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the very exciting stuff for the industrialists is there's new blueprints going to be able to be invented from the existing Triglavian T1 ships. And even more exciting for us industrialists is there are new materials that haven't existed before in EVE that you need to build them. Things amazingly called the Singularity Radiation Converter, Radiation Absorption Thruster, and Trinary State Processors, which we're not sure exactly how to build. So there's going to be probably new blueprints, there's new data cores, and even new skills that people are going to have to learn to make these ships. So these ships are going to be probably in demand when they come out for very high prices, as pilots want to fly them. Whether they're going to be, so effective as we've seen some of the T1 versions, the Drekovics and the Kikamuras, who knows? I'm not the PvP analyst pilot, but it's a big deal for both the PvP people, new ships to understand, hacks, and assault frigates and command
The
destroyers.
assault frigate seems really good.
The Command Destroyer I've heard is not that great compared to like the Kiki, and then even compared to the Pawn Effect and the Magus, it's still just like subpar in terms of speed, tank, etc.
Yeah, we've been talking about it, and I'm a little sad because I was hoping that was going to be our new go-to. But
Same.
Hopefully they buff it a little bit before it comes out because it's too slow.
So that's it. So for industry people, it's very exciting. You're seeing a run up in the market, up and down of the prices of all the T1 blueprints. We're assuming we're going to have to invent from the T1 Triglavian blueprints to make T2 blueprints, and then the materials that you need. There's going to be a huge kind of gold rush to get those materials and put them into use to get trained skills up and invent these things. So it's going to be quite exciting industrial-wise, and then the first people to fly these things and lose them in combat, again, they'll be learning along the way what these things are good at and what they're not good at.
So none of these materials exist in the game right now.
Well, some of the materials are standard, right? They each of the ships of the 3 ships reflect the 3 other racial components that are needed. So I think the Logi ship, the Zarmzod, took Amar components as well, and the other T2 ships are going to take Caldari, Minmatar, and Galente materials as well. So they're kind of spreading out as if you could imagine each empire was researching one Triglavian ship and inventing a T2 version based on what they think is going to be helpful. I think that's the lore aspect.
Something I find particularly interesting about the CD actually is that it's got skirmish and info links as its boosts. Like, that's a really interesting combination in my opinion.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, all the other ones have done like either what was it, like shield info or shield skirm or armor info, armor skirm. So it's like you could do like something tanky versus something utility wise.
Yeah,
This one's
this is
all
like
utility.
double utility. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super interesting.
And-
It kind of fits with the theme of the Triglavians as well, given their like high slots and stuff like that. And it's like cool to see that they thought about that.
And then as they're shown on the test server right now, all of the T2 ships have bonuses to remote armor repair. So imagine a gang of Triglavian hacks that can all remote repair each other in a fleet. I mean, it changes the dynamic significantly.
I guess I didn't realize that, yeah. Like natural spider tanking ships.
It'll be cool.
I'm really hoping that we see some interesting stuff out of them. Like, I'm really surprised with how well the Kikimora did. So we'll have to see if that's continued.
I know like PL flies Kiki's a lot, and it's actually like super effective, depending on what you're fighting against.
So this is like not an NDA thing. I don't actually know if this is planned at all, but I just hope that CCP releases a Trig stealth bomber.
A trig what?
A Trig stealth bomber.
That would be hot.
Ooh, that'd be neat.
It'd be so sexy. Come on, we all want it. Don't lie, you all want it.
I don't
I'll
want
take
it.
it.
I don't want it at all.
Oh,
I'm
come
just glad
on,
we
you know
got-
you want it.
I'm just
No.
glad we got like T2 Logi ships and Triglavian Logi ships. Like I've flown a couple of them and they're fun as fuck.
All right, I've used up my voice. Thank you for letting me on the show. I'm going to go back to being a
Thanks for
listener
the
now.
scotch, Dunk.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
coming, Derek.
Cheers.
Hey, Dunk.
Yes?
Before you go, I need to let you know that I would like to interview you for my CSM thing, but I'll talk to you about
Yes,
that.
I'll be
after this.
happy to do that.
Awesome, thank you.
I threw those pictures up. These are comparisons of it to the Avatar, apparently.
Tamia brought up a Trig command battle cruiser that has ramp up command bursts. Like, dude, that would if CCP
Dude,
could
can
do
you imagine
that,
if there's like a recon and like it has Eeyore that ramps up, like a
Oh
web that
my
ramped
God.
up with strength the longer you put it on?
that would
That's-
actually be
no.
super neat
Sick idea.
and super frustrating.
Sick idea. Hashtag feel free to plagiarize me, CCP.
Triglavian smart bombs. Oh my
God, smart bombs that ramp up with damage and range. Can you imagine?
No.
Actually,
All
we're
these
talking
things
about,
are terrible ideas.
No, that's a
They kind
terrible
of scare me,
idea.
actually.
We're talking
I
about
want
ships,
it.
but I think CCP kind of leaked that. Well, not leaked, but they announced kind of indirectly that they're doing the damage control as probably the next Metaplasma. I think that was actually announced at Amsterdam.
Hasn't it been released?
No.
Okay.
That should be soon, though. I think that's getting released with the new T2 ships. But that'll be fun. Oh, it's on CC. Someone said
Yeah,
it's-
I was gonna say, I thought that was like in semi-public, that was gonna happen.
Oh, yeah. So, like, they announced that at Amsterdam, yeah. But it's not.
Don't
not
scare
out
me with
yet.
things like that. Don't make me think
No,
I've
no,
been
no, no,
a,
you
been a
didn't
filthy
think
leaker.
You didn't
Will
think
it do
you
the
were
assault
gonna-
damage controls too?
I
Yeah,
don't know. That would.
it does. On Sissy at least it does.
Ooh,
Nice.
that might be interesting.
It does different things though. It changes like react timer and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want any more Triglavian things. Every time I see a Triglavian ship, I end up with a nice little kill mail. So I'm not a fan.
A kill mail or a lost mail?
A lost mail. That's what I should be saying. A lost mail.
Rip. Yeah, you should fly them. They're fun as hell.
Man, apple juice and whiskey is the best. This is great.
I'm supposed to be trained up for Triglavian
You don't
stuff,
need to
but,
put apple juice in
Me too.
there.
I'm
Jesus.
gonna use all those free skill points from the anniversary thing to get trained up what I'm supposed to.
No.
I'm super smug, so I'm like right under 100 million SP, and then I'm also getting battle cruisers T2 battle cruisers, and then T2 battleships. Though it's just gonna be Marauders, not gonna be Black Ops. That's too much shit.
Who remembers when they originally split the battlecruiser skill?
That was way
I
before
did.
my
I-
time. I wish I had
Dude, that
that.
was so
remember
old
that.
school.
I
Pepper
lucked out
Trial
on that.
runners.
Because I had Destroyer to 5 and I had Battlecruiser to 5, and I'm like, oh, I'm good.
Dude, that was like the most upvoted post. Not most. That was like the most commented on post on like the forums and shit like that. Like everyone was reminding everyone like, make sure you train destroyers to 5 and battlecruisers to 5.
Yeah, we were doing the whole thing, but like, I had Destroyers to
We
5.
talked about that on here for a year,
Yeah, I think we did it for a long
and
time.
still had people
Yeah.
be like, "Oh my god."
What are you talking about?
Well, I lucked out because I was, at the time I had both the 5, I was like, I'm set. And it was about a month before the switch was going to happen. And I was moving in Ethereum Reach, I was moving to a different system. So I was like, I didn't have any big hauler stuff or a carrier or anything. So I was just flying a ship over and then death cloning back. Upgrading my clone, flying a ship over, death cloning back. And then
No, you
forgot to
didn't.
upgrade my clone one of those times. Death clone back, Battlecruiser went down to 4, and I lost like 26 days of Battlecruiser 5. And I'm like, fuck.
F.
And I got it trained to 5 like a week before the change happened, so I barely got it.
Jesus.
This
I-
is the dream.
I joined when they still had the clone upgrades, but I don't think I ever have lost SP from clone upgrades.
Dude, I lost a Mar Battleship 5 like 7 times. It sucked
I
so
think
much.
I
Yeah,
lost
it was bad.
skill points 3 times from not updating clones. Yeah, these kids nowadays, they don't have to worry about this shit. I remember when
With their
people would
skill
stop
injectors
training,
and
they're
their
like,
no clones. Come on.
yeah, people would stop training because
Learning-
like it's too
learning
expensive
skills.
for the clones after this point. There's no reason for me to get more skill points. Now it's just like, why not? Might as well train something.
Dude, I'm so glad that they changed that shit.
It's pretty nice.
Sure.
All right,
Dude,
before-
all
Welcome to like old people talk about how the game used to be.
Back
Got
in
the
my day.
podcast.
Old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, but yeah, Risen for Shizza, 21 months, and JC Denton, 27 months. Thanks, guys, for the resubs. I'm writing them down, and then when I get a chance, I'm calling them out. So
Anyways, Rise sent out something today also talking about the Tech 2 trig ships are now seated on Sissy, so go check them out. He did put this thing in there that I've seen a couple different variations of it about don't stress the power grid bonus not working. They'll likely be swapping that out for range anyways.
Which is good, because that's what you need with a hack. So, that makes sense.
I think there was just a couple different takes on what range they were talking about or whatever, but
It better be range on the gun, but, I guess we'll find out. Man, don't socially obsolete bringing up learning skills is giving me PTSD. I don't think I undocked for the first month I played because I was scared. I didn't have all my learning skills trained yet, and I wouldn't be able to do anything.
that's way
pretty
too
bad.
old. I don't.
When
remember those.
I joined EVE Online, I was so young that I was like, who would ever train learning skills? That's dumb. Oh, how foolish I was.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I never deal with those. Those were over and done with. I think before I even started.
were they?
Lucky Drayden.
I think
You
so.
are like
Like
you
when I
are
came in,
very
I think it was.
I mean,
just,
you would know if you got the skill points back.
You would
so
know
I mean-
because you would have been sitting there training shit for a month
I didn't-
before you could train
I never
anything
trained
else.
any skills
Dude,
that
that
were
was-
just for learning. When I came in, the only things that affected your training speed was attributes and
Dude,
implants.
the refund on learning skills was one of the things that started doctrines in EVE Online.
It was,
because,
it was
like,
one of the
suddenly-
only times that you had something like that. I mean,
Yeah, it's like suddenly everyone had like 2 million SP, so you could make sure that all of your guys could train the same like battleship up. and goons were like, here is exactly what you should train with the SP you're going to get back from this. And that like got the Maelstrom doctrine to be like one of the first unified doctrines. It's so interesting, like the way stuff like that works on like a grand scale. It's obviously not. It's obviously very apocryphal. Like it definitely wasn't the first time anyone had ever done a doctrine.png. But
like you can kind of tell the difference, though, right? Because back when they had those in, whether you think they were right, whether you think they were wrong, of it been there, right? The people that trained it to the 5 were the ones that were committing to a long-term future where it was going to have a long-term payoff, right? The people that didn't were more of your short-term nature, that if I don't train that now, then that means I get to train something else and whatnot, right? So you had like two different modes of thinking about it. Then they took that mode of thinking out completely, but there was like you were kind of committing to this sort of thing that I want to, in the long run of playing this game, be able to train faster, right?
Right, but I think everybody realized it's a bad idea to make you wait to play the game.
Well, right.
And that was really what that did.
You can see how that has been taken even further and further and further and further along the way, to where it's like, well, we don't want there to be any kind of, like we want people to like get in as quick as possible, right? So we're going to put in, like they took that out, fine. But then like they've added all these other things that allow for even more and more and more, right? Because that's like, maybe that's a change of just sort of, player behavior or in their case, kind of customer behavior that they maybe feel that they need to attract, right? That these sort of speed bumps are too much, to ask people to come in and do. Or not.
To the person asking, no, I wasn't really playing the game at that level when I was that age. Like I was fucking 13 at the time. Do you think I knew what was going on in nullsec?
Most of us took a long time to get to nullsec. Not everybody just jumped in. Nowadays, it seems like that's the main thing to do.
Yeah,
Back
it was a
when I
very
started,
different game back then.
Yeah, you didn't. Nobody went to nullsec unless they were, a veteran.
You had to have like 30 million SP, and like that took a long time. So you just chilled out and you like went and did stuff in lowsec because you had to build up your kill board before you would be allowed to join a nullsec alliance.
Trying to apply to big corporations and having like skill point requirements and ship requirements and ISK requirements that they wouldn't even talk to you if you didn't have, and it was like, all right, well, this sucks. I guess I'm gonna stuck by myself for a while.
Yeah, like Brave Newbies really changed that, like unironically. And Test also did the same thing, and so did Goons to some extent, but like Brave Newbies really changed that in the modern day of EVE Online. Like the post Brave era is so different to the pre Brave era, in my opinion. Yeah. It's kind of like the CSM in a way, like the CSM before like nullsec got super involved and it was so different, and I think that's the same way with the new player experience in some extents. Maybe that's just me reaching for interesting points though.
Oh, the good old days.
Well, yeah, Brave Newbies and Karma Fleet and Pandemic Horde, they've all opened up the doors for brand new players to come out to Null, like right away.
Nope.
Yeah.
What did I miss while I was gone? Anything good?
Me and Brisk reminisced.
We were talking about, when we were children.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when Jim was a child.
So how was the
I
Great
never a
Depression,
child.
Brisk?
I was born 20.
Jesus.
Hey, I'm 23 now. I'm like an adult or something.
Oh, God.
It's fucking awful. Dude, it's depressing talking to people who've just started playing EVE, because I feel like an old man, and I'm like really not. But like in the context of EVE, I am, and it's very weird.
I mean, it's
I love
freaks
talking
me
to
out.
newbies. They're so
Freaks me
nice.
out. I feel like everybody should be Dirk and I's age. Like that's like the rule. You're not allowed to play if you're not in your 30s.
Well, then you did.
I feel like everyone is you guys' age, but
A lot.
Well, it feels like it.
I mean, a lot are. I mean, I honestly, I mean, when
What's the average age of an Eve player? Mid
30.
right?
Probably.
I mean, look, we all
30.
started
It's
when I
probably
started
older
playing this
now than when
game.
they
I
took
was
that
like
measurement.
25. You know, the game's been around a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like coming up, right? Like the people who were Jin's age when he started, which was he started at like even the more ridiculous age, like even to have teenagers in the game.
I actually
or-
started
or
before
late
I was a
teens.
teenager.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
started
you were
when I
like
was
12
12
or
years
some
old.
shit.
Yeah, like you had
Yeah.
Alpha Star Pilot. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot
But
of
they were the
teenagers that play, but
rarities.
they didn't really stand in like prominent positions.
No, but
in the
they
game.
were
But
like
Alpha's
the
been, like,
rarities.
A lot of I would say a lot of the younger. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
In the social hierarchy of the game, that everyone's like, oh, that guy and that guy and that guy. So
Well, to be fair
Yeah.
though, like if you think of like how much time Eve takes, a lot of the folks who are able to like really hardcore learn the game are like high school / college kids because they're like, fuck it, I only have class for an hour today. I don't need to study, and they just sit and just spend like 18 hours a day on Eve, just like nerding the fuck out, like winter break, summer break, etc. Like when I was in school, I was studying for like CPA exams, but like had I done it 2 years earlier, I would just nerd the fuck out on Eve.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always thought Eve was definitely a game of it. Yeah, and they put out a statistic at some point, and I'm not sure exactly where it came from or how accurate it was or anything, but it was definitely what you would call an older age for if that's the average of your players. It definitely corroborated kind of anecdotal evidence, right? That I think a lot of people had from being in comms with other players and things like that, that they tended to not be your, Fortnite type, Call of Duty type players.
Right.
Yeah, it's a very, very different crowd in EVE Online, and I do appreciate that though. It leads to a very different culture.
It's really nice, honestly, compared to like other gaming cultures. If we think of like any other game community and whatnot, or like game sort of dynamic, it's drastically different compared to Eve.
I mean, Eve has its hostility in it, but I would say compared to some other games, it's not the super immature hostility. Well, I mean, there's that too, but it doesn't feel as rampant as other games. I haven't played Fortnite, but I'm assuming that can get pretty toxic. It feels a lot like the other type of games. Like PUBG was pretty bad. League is just atrocious. I mean, it's probably better. If you play League, it's probably better to just play it with all chat muted. But
to be fair, even I got banned from League of Legends.
What did she get
That's
banned for?
impressive.
For being bad or for being
For
toxic?
toxicity.
Jesus.
well, that's because they actually punish people for that, though. It doesn't stop anyone from doing it, but
I've told this story before. I've gone through 7 accounts on
fuck,
League
you're
of
like Tyler
Legends.
1.
God damn, dude.
That's
Dude, it's
crazy.
hard. People are retarded.
What were you saying?
You can't say that.
Just flaming people for being bad.
Don't say it. You'll get us kicked off Twitch if you're being
Sorry,
that
sorry,
tough.
maybe.
But,
I don't like MOBAs anyway. They bring out the worst in me as a person. That's why I don't play them anymore.
yeah, but on the Eve side though, local chat usually isn't too bad. I mean, there's a lot of shit talk there, but as far as like actual like offensive hostility, it's not a ton. When you get in comms with people, tends to be less. I would say like you get on fleets and there's a lot less of like direct just bullshit with people.
Do you know what I think it is?
Kugu,
I think
I don't know, like Kugu was pretty.
Kugu wasn't
pretty
that
bad.
toxic.
I never really.
Kugu
went
wasn't
there,
that
but
toxic.
I just
Fuck
heard
off.
stories, but
Like the Kugu Discord right now is super toxic, but that's just because it's full of bitter people who don't play the
They're
game.
just everyone just shit talking each other and making fun of each other. It's literally just like how bunch can we meme? At least like the general chat that I'm in. I think it's fun.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. Like if people want to opt into that, there shouldn't be any reason for people not to do that. Controversial opinion. People should be able to do what they want to do.
Weird.
damn, sounds pretty American.
That's why I got the fucking flag on my wall, boys.
Hell yeah.
Don't.
Most American Brit in the Isles.
There you go.
Weren't you gonna move to America? I remember you saying that at some point.
I really do want to at some point, but yeah, like it's actually super fucking hard to immigrate to America, shockingly, right now.
Just a bit.
Well, gee.
Gee willikers. No, I'm sure eventually, like the regulations will get let up, and then, hey, I'm a fucking engineer, so
That's pretty
Well, if
easy
you're an
to do if
engineer,
you have
I mean,
a job.
that's a skill. That's useful. So they're gonna want you.
actually, yeah, I provide things to society, allegedly.
Can you design a wall?
Don't go there.
I'm not gonna go there. I'm sorry.
You already went there. What do you mean you're not gonna go there?
We're not gonna continue
There
going
has
there.
already been went.
We're gonna turn around and come back. That's what we're gonna do. I had comments similar to that, but I decided to hold them back.
Yeah. Anyway, we should probably talk about Eve some more, rather than just talking about.
We don't
fucking
talk about Eve
dumb
on this
bullets.
show. Come on.
What's Eve?
Eve Online, a spaceship video game.
Well, since we're at that point in the show, do you guys want to talk about the CSM elections? Since
Yeah,
you
can we do a
guys-
shot
sure.
first?
Let's
Yeah, no,
Shot?
We need to do a shot.
yeah, I think I'm doing
Shot
a shot,
time?
and then we can go to the elections.
Shots.
Do you wanna
Wait, tomorrow's start. Oh, right, the 4th.
CSM elections.
CSM
Jin,
elections.
you running again?
What?
Jin, are you running again?
No.
No.
Yeah, Jin's
Smart.
not.
No.
What about you?
I,
Risk?
I,
you
I,
running
I
again?
said
Fuck
this.
no. No.
I said this like, why did no one believe me when I said that I would not run again for the CSM elections?
I
I
believe
said
you.
this on the podcast a long, long time ago.
Yeah, Dunk was he was on it, but Dunk is running. Manic Velocity is running.
Yeah, that's probably an interesting one.
He did go on. Did he go on with you, Jin? No, he went on with Ashtarothi. He went on a thing with Ashtarothi yesterday, or the day before. I haven't listened
Last
to
night.
it yet. Last night, okay. I've not listened to it yet. I want to know a little bit more about what Manic's whole thing is, because I really, really want to vote for him. But I don't think I can vote for him if it's just like, I'm Manic, vote for me. I mean, maybe I will.
That's why I'm voting
I
for
probably
him.
will. I mean, yeah, he's getting a vote. I just don't know what level of vote. So
It's all right. Lady Scarlet can't see the way you vote, so just go ahead and vote with your heart.
no, I don't. I've never followed block voting lists. I didn't do it in Imperium. I didn't do it in Black Legion. I'm not gonna do it in NC Dot. I vote for who I want to, not who I'm told to.
Yeah.
An admirable view of life.
So who are some notables that have put their names forward? Dunk.
Dunk,
Dunk,
Cable Uta.
Zenuria's
Who?
running again.
Zenuria's running?
Zenuria, Manic.
Aerith is running again.
Okay. Yeah, well,
Who else? There was another one that was running. Steve Renuka's running.
Merkelchin's running again, and I urge you
Merkelchin.
all to vote for Merk because he's the man.
Merc's getting a block vote. Don't waste your vote.
He
Merk
needs
is a
help
good
too.
human.
Everybody needs help.
Nope. Top 3 never need help.
Especially from last year, no one follows NC voting list. But Killaby got on there. Although he was in PL when he got on, though, wasn't he?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kill's not been on PL for a long time.
Okay. Well, he got in, but yeah, there was someone
Mike
else. I saw.
Azariah is being
Mike,
is
yeah.
being,
Yeah, Mike.
he's coming
Yeah.
back.
He's coming out of, I want to say he's being dragged out. He's not being dragged out, although I think people have mentioned it to him over the course of the past couple of years. He is coming back out of CSM retirement.
Which is good because he's probably one of the more knowledgeable high sec guys that I know. And everybody's
He's also
bitching,
someone
we need a
who's
high
got-
sec guy. Well, there you go. Mike's the man. Go for
He's
it.
Is he
also
the high
super
sec vote
NPE
then?
focused.
He's NPE
Yeah, he-
focused.
Yeah, he's NPE focused and high sec focused as well. He's a really good guy.
Do you
Like,
guys mind if we reel it back just a little bit and kind of like actually get to some of the details of it, and then we can kind of
Sure.
get off into the speculation
Sure.
of who's
Yeah.
running and who's not running and things like that. So, anyways, yeah, I put it out there before. I will link it out there again that CCP has put out the information and whatnot. Whether you're running or whether you're not, you probably want to keep paying attention to some of these dates. From April 30th, which apparently is like behind us now by a few days, through May 12th is when they are accepting applications. From May 13th through the 17th, they're processing those applications. On the 25th of May at Eve Down Under, they will be announcing who are official candidates. So keep an eye on that. There will be people out there that say that they are running and they don't make it because either A, they were trolling your ass, or B, whatever happened with their paperwork didn't work out the way they thought it was going to, or the way it should, or whatever. The campaign period, what they're calling the campaign period, is going to run from May 25th through June 7th. So basically, looks like about 2 weeks there that's going to go on. Honestly, though, the campaign period should have begun a month ago for people whose names nobody knows who the hell they are. It probably should have definitely begun by the 30th of April, because that's just the way campaigns go. And then June 10th through the 17th. You only got like 7 days here, people, to actually do your voting. Remember, they shortened it up last year. I think this may be a little bit shorter, but it may be the same thing as it was last year.
I think it's the same as last. I think last year they gave you a week.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be 2+ weeks of voting and stuff like that. Yeah. And they looked at the statistics, and the statistics show that most people vote on the first day
and the last day,
and then it begins to trail off.
And it's funny because that's the same as real life. I mean, I always constantly had to complain with people about how the fact that extending the amount of time that you have to vote does not increase turnout, because people are going to vote regardless of when it is. So it's always dumb, and I prefer the 1 week because it's fast. And that way, at least when I was running last time, I don't know what Jin did, but I spent that week chasing all my guys to make sure they voted. So having to do that for a week is doable. For 2 weeks, that's too much.
And then the winners will be announced on the 22nd of June. So it's actually late June, but at
Toronto, right? At Eve North last election.
Yes, at Eve North in Toronto. So if you're going to be in Toronto for Eve North, which you should be, you'll get to see that announced live, which is the only time that it will have been announced at a place outside of FanFest or just on the internet.
Exclusive
as far as I know.
Canada.
Well, because it was always, the winners were always, prior to last year, the winners were always announced at FanFest. Except for back when it was 6 months, and then shit, I forget now when the hell they announced. I think one of them got announced at FanFest, and the other one got announced just kind of like, hey everybody, here's the other term.
So did they shift the whole term thing then though? Because FanFest is always usually pretty early. May or something.
Last time around they shifted the term because what was ended up happening is, you guys know, Iceland shuts down over the summer because it's the only time the weather doesn't suck. So guys, they were getting elected, and then there wasn't anything, nothing was happening for like the first 4 months, and everybody was getting all burnt out about, they come in hard charge and wanted to do stuff, and there's nothing to do. So they shifted it back a little bit so that there's a little bit of time when everybody's around and they can get everybody onboarded properly, and then the summer hits and it's a doldrum, and then you run right into the summit in September. So that's why they did it that way.
Gotcha.
Yep. So last year they pushed it off and shortened up the voting period. They made a number of changes last year. Remember, last year's CSM 12 term ran long in order to kind of like, shift where it was going to be. But yeah, so remember those dates. A couple things I also want to link out here. If you are into reading the forums and looking for people who are posting their CSM campaign announcements, there you go. I also want to direct your attention to Noisy Gamer's site, CSM Wire. I have linked that out there as well. Pretty much he only puts on his site the people that have taken the time to actually post something on the forums as a first step. I think he might I think he tightens it up. I know he tightens it up later in terms of the people who are actually accepted onto the ballot. So maybe keep a look for that out there. I know Talking in Stations is going to be doing interviews. Jin,
I'm gonna be like, I'm not doing general interviews. What I'm trying to do is just gonna interview like candidates that I particularly think are interesting and just try and get some like answers from them. It's not gonna be like a full interview process. It's just gonna be spotlighting candidates basically.
Now, how will you select who should be spotlighted?
Whoever the fuck I want.
There we go.
There you go. So you better be friends with Jen or you're not getting a damn interview.
Like, people aren't owed my time. I don't owe anyone my time at this point. That's the way I see it about the CSM.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Put in the time.
I did my time, motherfuckers.
I mean, looking at this list, you've got people on there from you've got more than just your name brand people on there from Goon Swarm, and Karma Fleet, and I'm sorry, Goon Wafa and Karma Fleet and other members of Goon Swarm. You got people on there from Code. Dunk is on there, as we said before. Faley Frere from Pirate is on there. Liz Lizard Breath, who I know watches the show. Manic, Mike Azariah, Steve Renukin.
Commander A's on there, freelancer.
Commander A's is
He
not
is not.
on there.
Commander A's
said he's
announced
not
that he's
doing
not
it
running.
because of reasons. Zenuria is on there again. You've got, again, you go out there and check it out. Hard Knocks has some, buddy on there. Again, Wormholes is something people are watching this year to see if they get their act together and get themselves a candidate.
Yeah, you see, Habit fucking at least knows my man, Cable Uta. He's a good guy. He's from Volta. He seems like he's got a really interesting platform. He seems like someone who could be a replacement of Suetonia in terms of being a numbers guy. And I think it's always important to have someone who understands kind of like the raw balancing and how numbers actually function in EVE.
Who was the Code guy? Because I'm
You mean the pirate guy?
No, someone.
Tora Bushido?
Oh, from
No,
Code?
from Code.
Aiko Danuja.
Faley?
Was
Faley's pirate.
Aiko
No.
Danuja is the Code pilot that's, the Code Alliance
was he the one that
person
was
is
just
so far on there now.
that it almost sounded like a troll post for the campaign?
Yes,
post?
that one sounded
that one I'm-
extremely troll. And,
I can't
yeah.
tell if he just is technically running, but he's not realistically actually running, or if he's realistically running with that as his mentality. Because
I hope that he's not running because I spent like 15 posts trying to talk to him about what happened with me, and I'm pretty sure that he's brain damaged.
Now, that being said,
he's Code.
his obviously sounded like a troll, right? I think the one that stands out as being certainly a not troll, and as honest as he can possibly be is Aerith's campaign platform, which you can count on me to tell you the brutal truth, dear lower life forms. As far as I'm concerned, you're.
I gotta say,
You're all
I-
Naglaria
that's the thing,
Fowleri.
Legs
Too
me,
close,
dog.
you'll infect my brain with your stupid PSF wormholers.
I want to say that I liked that speech so much that I showed it to my girlfriend when she asked me what I was doing in EVE right now.
I hadn't read it until today.
It's so
I saw a
fucking
tweet
funny.
from Noisy who was talking about having given Aerith extra credit this year because it was 3 times longer than last year. I only read you the last sentence of it. It is a little bit longer, but you get the gist.
It's pretty good. Like
It's
I
so
literally
good.
read this like an hour before the show, and I just started cracking up. I was like, "Dirk, have you read this?" He's like, "No." I was like, "You have to just give it a quick
It's
browse."
so-
Aerith always
funny.
has a good one.
It's solid. It's like that's gold, and like it's kind of one of those like, I don't need you to like me to win, because I'm in Goons. So
The best part about that Aerith post is that he's not kidding. That's
No.
not a joke.
Well,
right.
he
The
doesn't
thing
need
is,
to
like, if
kid,
he
right?
wants
He's
to
in a
win, he'll
position of
probably
not
win,
needing to
and he
kid.
doesn't need anyone to like him for it. Like, if he goes on as the main candidate on the Goon ballot, he's gonna probably get the spot.
Yeah, I mean, and again, not to go back to his thing, but he says it best in his own in his own words. Because you're an amoeba to me who don't matter to the grand story of EVE. The other candidates will at least give you lip service that you were a special snowflake of an amoeba because they want your votes.
Yeah.
You know what? Again, it is the most honest because for him, he doesn't give a shit, and he doesn't need to give a shit.
Yeah,
That being said,
That is
I don't
correct.
think that he hates you as much as he makes out in here.
No,
I think
he
I
does.
think he
That's not a
actually-
joke.
I think
That's
he
what I'm
actually
saying. He's
wants
not
the game-
kidding.
I think he wants the game to be better, though. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. He probably does hate you as much, okay? But he wants the game to be better, I think. Right?
I
Yeah.
would think so.
I agree with that.
For all the shit you can
Okay.
give Eric, he does actually care about the state of EVE Online, a video game.
So there we go. So deep down, he hates you, but
He
still
hates
wants
you,
to
but
be
he
here.
wants to.
but he has
he
your
wants
best
you, he
interests
wants
at
you
heart.
to
Still wants
stay
you to be
around.
here.
He wants you to stay around so that you can experience the wrath that is incurred from his hatred.
Yeah, the
Only he is allowed to
The
destroy
wrath.
you. Like he is the arch supervillain of EVE Online.
I was going back and forth with Noisy today about it was out on Twitter and it was with Steve Renukin too, which by the way, I want to change something that I've said for the past 4 or 5 years or something like that. I don't give a shit how many times anybody runs for CSM. Fuck it. The thing is blown off at this point. If you guys want to keep electing the same damn people year after year, just go for it. It's fine, whatever. So you won't hear me say this year how nobody should vote for people who've already done 2 terms or anything like that. Whatever. So I'm not going to say that. But I was going back and forth with Noisy today about ballots, right? And about whether or not you should you do have some people out there that will
Right.
vote on their 10 slot ballot, right? Only for a couple of people. The couple of people that they actually want on there, kind of 100% sort of a thing, right? And everybody else is forget it. I'm just not going to vote because whatever. And my feeling is I take it from a different standpoint, right? That when I look at a slate of, let's say, 50 candidates, right? I can generally pick out the 10 I'd rather be on there and then put them into an order than maybe the other 40 that are on there or something like that, right? I mean, isn't that kind of the way that, isn't that the whole reason of the STV being what it is? Not that you like your 10th candidate as much as your first, but that they have some sort of commonality with what you think the CSM should be
well, right, and
more than others.
I saw your guy, you and Noisy's whole back and forth on Twitter today about you were kind of saying well, there's at least got to be 10 people that you are somewhat have commonality with, and then he was saying, but no, there's not, and then it turned into this whole you're just trying to exclude other people at that point. It's I don't know if you should think about it as much of I just don't want this guy on there, so I'm gonna vote for anyone else but him. I mean, I guess it kind of goes into the lesser of evils, but the thing is obviously there's gonna probably be a few that you want. You're hey, these guys will be good. I want them in there, so you give them your top votes, obviously. But then it's when the thing is you look at the whole list of candidates, 10 of those people will be getting on the CSM. What are the top 10 that you think would do the best job? May not be the job that you would prefer they do. Maybe you're well, this guy isn't it. I want him to be better, but it's is he better than the others though? Because you should there's going to be 10 people. You should want the 10 best people that could be applied to that position put in there, and that's
But
where your
Reagan,
10
that's not how
votes should
people
go.
vote. That's not how people vote.
That's
You
how
know
I
that's not
vote.
how
It's
people
what are the top 10
expecting
that I
people to
think
be
should be
rational
there?
is
That's
a-
where they
is
should
a-
go.
It's not even a question of rationality. People are going to vote. They're going to vote for the folks that they know. They're going to vote for the folks
Manning
that
gets
are in
my I
their
know him vote,
alliance
so-
or their coalition. They're going to vote for the folks that
I will say that Manic
are
is
funny
someone
or
I'm
make
very
them laugh
interested
or are the meme candidates. I mean, or they're going to vote
Well,
for folks that they like to watch.
I know that
Yeah.
person. That's a lot of the general voters, but Noisy. I'm saying for the people like Noisy that put a lot of thought into their voting, it's but you should still not leave blank spots in your vote, because then
No, now that I agree 1,000% with.
say the 2 or 3 people that you wanted to get in do get in. It's great. But then say that there's a few people that got in that you're oh, they're terrible. These other people would have been way better. It's well, you could have put votes to those people
Well,
maybe
that's the problem.
helped get
And
them
and
in there
this is-
instead.
This was the thing. I tried to explain this to the Wormhole guys, who, of course, got pissed off at me because I was trying to educate them, and they thought I was trying to, rub in their faces that they didn't get anybody elected last time. But the problem is, if you looked at the STV at the votes from the last run, you had a crew that voted just for Exuki. You had a crew that voted just for TikTok, and they didn't put either of the other ones on the ballots. So when those guys got counted out, all those votes are gone. If you don't vote your whole ballot, you're wasting a ton of people's. You're wasting all your voting power. It's stupid.
It's not about not voting your whole ballot. It's about voting a significant enough portion of your ballot for it to matter, and about thinking about what is a candidate that you would accept, not a candidate that you'd be overjoyed about. about making the pragmatic decision as to what to vote.
But the point is, bullet voting, single person voting, just putting one person at the top of your ballot, you're taking a chance that your vote's not going to count if that guy doesn't get in.
Right,
there.
because
Maybe you
the
don't care.
whole-
Maybe you don't care if he does. If the guy you're voting for doesn't win, then maybe you don't care if anybody else gets on there. But at least for folks that are looking for their area of space to be represented that wasn't represented in the past, if you do not take advantage of the fact that you can vote for more than one candidate, you're doing it wrong.
Well, and also with
and you only have yourself to blame when your area or your pet issue doesn't get represented because you fucked up and voted wrong.
Well, I mean, the whole point. I'm sorry, Jaden. Just give me one second. The whole point of the STV, right, the single transferable vote system, all right, is to basically allow you to be able to vote for somebody who may not have a chance in hell, right? But maybe if enough people out there want to vote for that person, they do get a chance. But assume that they don't. Your vote's not just dead. It now moves on to the full weight of your vote, assuming that person that you put in your number one slot gets eliminated. Okay, once they're eliminated, now your ballot is alive yet again to vote full force for who you have in your number two slot.
Like a White Walker.
Like
Bingo.
a White Walker. You're
raised from the dead.
It didn't die with that first vote. Okay, and that goes all the way down. I mean, the whole idea of, well, geez, these are the only two people I like fully, so that those are the only two people I vote. That means at vote 3, it's freaking dead. When it could have been, well, you know what? Compared to everybody else, this person's the next person who, you know what, even if it wouldn't necessarily benefit me the same way that the other ones would, as far as I can tell, that person would be okay on the seat. Like it allows gradations to go down, right? Like when most people look at an election out there, there's not just one person that they go, well, that's the only person in the world that can, do the job that I want him to do. They sit there and go, no, that's the one that fits most with, the things that I believe a CSM member should be, or a council member, or whatever the hell it is. But if they don't get on, maybe there's somebody else out there that kind of fit. And then further down, maybe there's somebody else that sort of fit. And then further down, maybe it's just like, okay, but that guy over there certainly doesn't fit, so I don't want to vote for him. But I also don't want to not cast a vote because maybe my vote in my number 10 slot would have been that one extra vote that person needed to not get eliminated.
Yeah. Well, and on the flip side of that, aside from elimination, is
17 votes.
I mean, I don't know enough
decided
about the STV.
10th and 11th break this year. It was 17 votes between getting on and not getting on.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. But isn't it like so say the person you voted for number 1, like isn't it like after a certain number of votes that secures them in a solid spot, then it cuts off all further votes for them and everyone's vote then shuffles down to their next slot because their first vote isn't needed anymore because that guy already won.
It's once they're elected, yeah. Once they
right.
hit
So the thing
number.
is, like, if you only put 2 or 3 people in there and say they all get elected before your vote even comes up, now your vote
Then your
trickles
vote's
down
exhausted.
to empty space and your vote is lost and you basically didn't even vote at that point.
Correct, which is why I urge everybody to vote the whole ballot. Now you don't have to, and like Jen said, but it's in your best interest to vote for 10 people. Otherwise,
not careful,
there's
you
a
vote for
chance
chance.
that those votes are not going to matter. And I think anybody that cares enough to take the time to actually vote should care enough to take the time to actually, vote the whole ballot and figure out 10 people that you want to put on there and make sure that that you're exercising your full power at the ballot box. But, who am I kidding?
You're an Omega citizen.
Right.
Don't disenfranchise yourself.
It's your civic duty.
It's your civic duty.
It's your
Do you
civic
wanna
duty
know
to New
more?
Eden.
Do you want to know more?
Now, that being said, Brisk, Jin, have people approached you that are running for any kind of, I don't know, insight into A, whether they should, B, how to do it? Just, I don't know, anything.
Yeah, more
Every
people
fucking
have
day.
approached me. Yeah. Look,
Every
I
day.
I respect the people who come to me and try and ask for advice, and I try and give them stuff that's reasonable, to be fair. It's just like, I'm not here to be your campaign manager, bro.
No, but I mean, you are somebody who maybe has some insight into kind of what to expect to be a CSM member. I mean, how many times do you have people come to you asking you about, maybe they're thinking about running and they really don't know what to expect?
Quite honestly, I think anyone who right now is asking me to run is asking me that question like 5 months too late.
Well, it's funny because
Oh, wow.
the one question I get more than any other is, you know, do you was it worth it? Do you think it was worth it? And I just sit there like, I mean, really, you're going to ask me that now? Was it worth it?
I mean, like,
Okay.
Were people asking you in March, Brisk? Or like,
No,
were they
they've been
you, like,
asking me
last
since
week?
I got banned, which is the funny thing. It's like after all this stuff happened, that's when folks started asking me because that's when they all started thinking about running, or at
That's
least
funny.
you know,
They didn't
when the thing
ask me
came out.
this year.
See, because I look at the two of you, okay? I look at the two of you and think you guys are different in a, you know, in a couple of very distinct ways. Number one, Brisk this was his first year on it, but he had a significantly bad experience. Jin is finishing up his third year, right, Jin?
Yep, third year.
Third year. So therefore, he's had 3 years of experience to kind of like, you know, be able to process whether or not all this was worth it, and whether, you know, and it just kind of like coaching experience for somebody who may be considering going on there about, like, you know, maybe what this does to a person.
I mean, no offense, but like I was trying to help Brisk.
Well, last
He
year,
was.
like, talk him out of it.
Yeah.
Or, like, this year, like, to
No,
try and,
no, we
you know,
talked.
buff him up?
Jen gave me a ton of advice last year on what to do and how to
Yeah.
talk to different groups and other types of stuff. Yeah, we went.
I
back
kind
and
of
forth
fell
a lot.
off like in the last 6 months, unfortunately, because I just kind of burnt out of the game to some extent. But I'm
I feel
definitely
like-
back now, and
Which is why I used to have my 2-year rule. But like,
I was gonna say, I feel like that happens to a lot of CSM. Like, they're like super active, super involved the first year, and then like second year, they're kind of trailing off. And then usually by the end of the second year, they're like jaded, quit the game. They're like, fuck the players, fuck CCP, fuck this game, fuck life. Like, they just seems like a lot of people, like, CSM is a lot of work, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize you get burned out.
I
it's
mean,
not that
is-
it's a lot
is-
of work.
That
it's
is a
that
very
it's a lot
good point.
of work that gets you no appreciation.
Well, yeah,
It's
that
a lot
too,
of it's
right?
a lot of work to be blamed for things that aren't your fault.
I mean, like, I think Dirk asked the question before this. He's like, well, what can CSM, you know, what term is this, 13? He's like, what can CSM 13 tell us that they did? And then it's like, well, they also, CSM can't tell you what they did that didn't make public. So if, like, CSM blocked something that they thought was going to be terrible, or they promoted CCP to push for something that, you know, is going to come out 6 months to potentially a year later, like, let's say War Decks didn't happen now, but they happened later. Like, CSM can't talk about that. They can never talk about it until it's announced by CCP or they're off their NDA. And so, like, they do all this work, and then people, like, random idiots in the community are like, oh, fuck CSM. Like, they just, like, scam people and, like, Brisk got banned. That's why CSM sucks. And, like, there's pieces of shit who don't realize what the CSM does. Or they
It's-
expect way too much of the CSM.
It's fine. Like, the CSM is simultaneously both completely useless and therefore should be disbanded, and also obscenely powerful and therefore should be disbanded at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense of people crying all the fucking time.
and
It's
that
fine,
actually,
like-
and I'm sorry, and that
I've
actually,
reached the state of acceptance at this point. I just accept that everything is awful and that nothing
Like,
will improve.
Is that like stages of like death or
This
whatever it
is the final stage of the CSM. Like, have you seen that fake CSM logo where it's like all the faces and it ends up with just like the face palm? Actually, that is not the final stage. The final stage is you go back round to the middle where you just smile, but you smile because you're just completely dead inside. You have no hope left for like
Yeah.
anything ever, and you're just gonna smile because why not?
Do you guys think if CCP, I'm kind of reading what Cheetah said, but then I'm like completely taking it completely different. Do you guys think if CCP had the option when players voted of, I don't want the CSM at all? And do you think a lot of people would vote that?
I think a significant amount of I think that would be like the third or fourth most popular candidate, because I think a fuck the CSM candidate will always be popular.
Oh, okay.
Because fuck the system is always popular. That's just how the world works.
I mean, people would vote for. I don't think that that's something you. I mean, that's not something you put on a ballot. Like, do you want the Republican candidate, the Democratic candidate, or fuck the government, anarchy? Like,
let it all burn.
Well, and look, you know, Guard was very good about this last year. I mean, the whole point is, and what I always tried to tell everybody is that the CSM is not. It's something that gives the players a voice, but it's not because the players want it. It's never been because the players want it. It's because CCP wants it. They want to have this. Hilmar has said over and over again, every time he's asked about the CSM, I created this. I created it for a reason. I want it. I think it serves a purpose. So as long as the company wants it, then who gives a shit whether we want it or not? They're going to do it. So at that point, the fact is, the company's going to do it, and they can either do it one of two ways. They can either pick the players themselves, and everybody will scream and bitch and moan about that, or you get a chance to vote, and you get a chance to push yourself forward. And I would prefer that system, because at least there's a little bit of democracy in that, and it lets you weed out folks that don't want to serve or wouldn't be willing to do it, and lets folks go out there and you get to see how much they want it. So, I think the one thing that I was surprised the most when I ran last time, and Jin didn't have this issue because he was known and he campaigned and he went to other groups and talked to everybody. But there were 60 some people, I guess 49 some people that ran last time. And I can think of maybe 4 actual people that ran campaigns besides me. And it's like, people just think they put their name up there and they put their post on the forums and that's their campaign. I mean, of course you're not going to win. That you can't win if you don't talk to people. So I'd like to see some people be active and actually put posts up and do propaganda and do commercials and go on all the shows and go and do the interviews so people get to know who you are.
I mean, those generally are the ones
that's
that
what I
win.
did. I mean, you got to put the work in. If you want the job, put the work in. Otherwise, you're not going to get elected.
Right. I think all the ones that usually get elected are the ones that always do that, because the ones that just post a campaign statement and then don't really do anything after that, they're obviously not committed enough that it's like, okay, if they're not willing to put in all this extra work for the campaign, I don't think they're going to do much, on the CSM either. As far
Right.
as
If you can't take 5 minutes or at least spend the time to go out there and campaign, then how the hell are you going to spend the time to talk to players and have town halls and find out what they care about and read the forums and read Reddit and read Facebook and all the different places people are talking about stuff and everything? I mean, I don't know. Everybody else, not everybody did things the way that Jen and I did it.
Is it harder
obviously,
today?
and didn't have to, but still,
I
it's
mean,
like, come
yeah.
on.
Is it harder today, okay, for candidates who don't necessarily have a name in the biz, okay? So I don't know, they're either not some media type that has gotten name recognition out there, they're not an FC, they're not an alliance leader, and take this from
You're basically reading off my commercial.
All right.
dude.
So
not a block level type thing.
Doug,
Is it
let me
harder
just
for
let
them
me
now
give
to
my
get their own names out there?
Doug. Let me put it this way: the CSM is not here to represent all players. If the CSM was here to represent all players, then it would just be a randomly chosen selection of all players. The CSM is there to represent the community to CCP. The CSM is a community advocacy and community oversight kind of position for CCP, as well as all the other functions that it kind of does. If you are not known within the community and you are not active in the community, why do you think that you would be a good representative for the community? That is like the question that I would ask anyone who isn't going to go on podcasts, who isn't going to write articles about their opinions, who isn't going to, try and make sure that they're known within the community.
I think that's.
What the fuck are you doing?
I mean, I think that's a good point though, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, CSM has to represent all players," but a lot of players in EVE literally don't give a fuck. Like, I think CCP has the statistics of how many players don't actually join a corporation, or they just sit in HiSec and mine, or they don't really interact or talk to players or within player channels. And that's sadly the majority of EVE. We talk about nullsec politics or wormhole communities, or Twitch versus Twitter versus Reddit versus forums, and all these folks who actually go out there and try to connect with the community or try and connect with the broader EVE player base. And it's a lot of players don't do that. And CCP doesn't really want to hear from Joe Schmo, the miner, who, his only opinion is, I want to mine more rocks better. I want to use infinite lasers or some shit like that. CCP wants to hear about players who care about the game and developing the game and keeping up the health of the game in terms of stuff that affects the broader game more than just, a single player experience. And I'm not saying that's not important, because new player experience is important, individuals in HiSec or Vortex, stuff that affects players is important. but that's not exclusively what CCP wants. They want these sort of more broader community people. And I know Mike Arazaraya
If I had to like nail down one like particular characteristic that makes a good CSM player, it's that they have a wide-ranging understanding of different gameplay patterns and how those impact players themselves.
I do want to go back here because I think we kind of diverted off of into two different areas, because I am more than happy to talk about the diversity of CSM members and how that represents the overall EVE community or player base or anything like that. But the question I was like trying to ask before is it harder today for people coming up to get their name out there in a way that isn't like?
I don't think so, Dirk. I don't think so.
And let me just finish real quick.
Go ahead.
Because back in the day, one of the things that I always sat there and said was, if you're not an FC, if you're not somebody who has name recognition for what it is you do in the game, but you're a thinker, like a year before, at least, you should be seen as somebody who's a thinker based on published articles or things along those lines. Something that somebody is reading or hearing or what have you. Like, you have got to get name recognition somehow. And I don't see that from a number of these candidates who I'm not quite sure who their names are, or even some of the ones I do know who they are, but I've never seen them say anything about EVE from what I'll call a thinking standpoint. I wonder what it is they've been doing for the last 12 months and why now their name is being put forth as somebody who wants to run.
Well, I mean, that's part of it. But I mean, at the same time, I don't think it's hard to generate all these things. I mean, look, a website costs $15. You can get a domain name and a host and a WordPress site for $15. It doesn't cost a lot of money. You can get a Twitter handle for free. You can use your own Facebook. You can write articles. Every one of these, every New Eden Report, all of these websites will take submissions. If you write well and you want to write something, they'll put it up there. Mike's got his own website. Suetonia had his own website. A lot of these guys have websites. You can Twitch stream. You can do your own Twitch show. Hey, you know what? Even if nobody watches it, do a show. Talk about what you want to talk about and link it in your post. You can do YouTube. You can do commercials. You can go on open comms. We have an open door policy. If somebody wants to come on,
don't go on
ask. But it's like Talking Stations will do stuff, and Declarations of War will do stuff, and Push to Talk will do stuff, and I mean, all the shows are going to do it. You got to reach out and you got to talk to people. It's so easy. It's so easy to put stuff up and put things out there if you're willing to do the work. Now granted, it's going to take a bit, and if you're starting from zero, you're going to have to go out. The tail, Drayden's, that's awesome. The cat tail on that was pretty cool. Anyway, I got diverted. But the whole point of it is that you can. There's plenty of opportunities to do this if you do it. You just got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, and not to throw out that Mike Arazaraya, right? Ran for freaking years. He was like the Commander A's before his own time. Before Commander A's was Commander A's that anybody freaking knew about. He ran multiple years. I think it was like 5 years or something like that before Mike Arazaraya got on. But right over that period of time, made a name for himself as being somebody who would want to talk for not only high sec, right, but for where he could add value in the general betterment of the game and shit like that. It took him a while. He was out there pounding the freaking pavement, grassroots, going door to door to everything. Like, and then you sit there and you think, well, geez, where's I don't want to say where's this year's Mike Arazaraya, because apparently he's back before even any other Mike Arazaraya sort of did the same thing, except you, Brisk, in a way. But you happen to also come from a large organization, at the time.
Which helps.
Which
that's
totally
the other thing.
Helps.
It also helps to have a big group behind you if you're doing it, But sorry, I got yelled at. I woke up.
The CSM needs a healthy level of mustache on it. So.
And that's actually a good transition over to the
Hi,
whole
Panda.
freaking diversity of what gets represented. Here's the thing: the game should wish that it had a diversified CSM that represented everybody out there. But we know the reality of it is it's going to be a CSM that is populated basically by those people that can organize and attract votes, like any other election out there. Okay,
It's like the end of the Roman Republic.
but we also have to know that for those people that do get on, for the betterment of the game, they have to actually try. Because if they were just, honestly, people, for all you haters out there about the CSM and shit like that, if they were actually just in it for the own special interests of the narrow constituencies that they represent, they would have driven this game into the fucking ground right now. The combination of a CSM that only cared about its own narrow interests being listened to by CCP, literally dead.
Don't forget that this CSM, like the core of the CSM that people talk about being like the GSM, we handled EVE going free to play. We handled Citadel's 2.0, and Citadel's 2.0 was something that we pushed for. We handled
the rebalances with the hard titans and the reps stuff, so that's
the changes that we thought and told CCP wouldn't be enough.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the changes have CCP's dabbling or the CSM dabbling in it. So I mean,
Well, I mean, to Dirk's point, and I think I have to disagree with him on the whole idea of, just because somebody is elected by a big block group like I was, like Aerith and Merc and Nominate and the rest of those guys are, just because that's who that's who votes you in, that doesn't mean that that's who you're tied to. That's who you're supposed to represent, because it's like we just said. I mean, the bottom line was, Vortex did not benefit anybody in NullSec, but that was the biggest issue that we pushed this year, and that was because we knew it was best for the game. And I think the difference between a good CSM and a bad CSM member is somebody who's going to be willing to recognize that, yes, they're a member of X group and X group brought them to the dance, but at the end of the day, they got to do what's in the best interest of the game, what's best for the game, period, not what's best for their personal group or what's best for anywhere else. And I mean, I think the Goons are a perfect example of that, because they are the first ones that will tell you, all right, if you guys do this, we're going to abuse the hell out of it. It's a bad idea. And I think that kind of attitude, they don't get enough credit for, because that's the type of stuff that you need these guys and you want these guys to be saying. Otherwise, you get a bunch of people in there that are either niche guys that only do their very little thing, which is one of the reasons why I don't generally think it's a good idea for folks who are just like FCs, sorry Pando, to run, because if that's the only thing that they do, then they've got a very narrow focus, and the vast majority of stuff the CSM talks about has nothing to do with that narrow focus. So you've got to be getting people that are willing to represent the entire game and that have broad experience that is indicative of the whole game. Otherwise, you're going to have guys who are going to sit there for most of the time with their hands up their ass because they got nothing to say.
I just want to be clear. I don't think you and I disagree at all. What I was saying was, I think it's bullshit what people say out there about the whole idea that the people that are on the CSM are only trying to represent narrow kind of tribal interests.
Correct.
That's bullshit. Okay.
That is
because
bullshit.
if they did that, okay, and on top of that, CCP bought it, this game would have been driven into the floor fucking years ago. And I don't mean like for all you haters out there that think it's a dead game and all that anyways. Like we're never gonna stop you dead enders from thinking what you want to about CSM or EVE Online. But for anybody who's willing to freaking listen, as much as what I read from Aerith before might say to you, if you really want to hear it, it's like, these people aren't actually like that. When they get in the room and they talk, they're not like that, because Brisk was telling me that while he was sitting at the... No, I'm sorry, he wasn't.
He's like,
no, these people love Eve. That's what he was texting from the table.
I mean, I will... I mean, like, it's very clear that, like, if CSM members are pushing, we got a raid, yeah. Thanks,
Oh, it's a
Locaville.
raid. It didn't say raid on the screen. It just showed a dancing shark. I was like, what is that? While
But,
we're stopping
yeah,
for the-
so, like...
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no,
19.
you can
I
call
was
the
just going to
chat.
throw... There's
It's
a
not
couple,
a leak to
there's a
tell me
couple
these guys
resubs
are
there that I
cool.
called out. Dominar, 16 months, and Commissar, 3 months. Thanks for the resubs, guys.
Thanks, team. But
Someone
yeah,
in
it's
chat
like...
asked how I got popular enough to serve for the CSM, and I basically I was the Provi candidate, like, for my first term, and then I did a ton of publicity in my first term. About, like, hey, here's what the CSM's doing, here's who's turning up for meetings, shit like that.
Yeah, Locaville enough. Thanks for the raid, man.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I've seen that, so I didn't know what the hell was going on.
But yeah, like, many times, like, a lot of people are like, oh, CSM candidates are just going to go to CCP and tell CCP what to do. And, like, that's 100% not the case, because CSM can't tell CCP to do anything. And then also at the same time, like,
We can't
CCP...
get them to do the shit that makes sense, let alone the shit that doesn't make sense that benefits us.
There's been
but I mean-
CSM candidates in the past who run on a platform of fixing faction warfare, and as soon as they get to their first summit, they get told, yeah, cool, that's not on the roadmap, so figure it
Yeah,
out.
well, that and CCP, like, you have to realize some CCP devs were in fact players. So when they're sitting there at the meeting and they're like, wow, your suggestion really sounds like it's going to benefit your niche style of gameplay and fuck over literally everyone else because you had no consideration of what other people want or what other people need to be catered for. So therefore, we're not going to take your shit into consideration. So, like, a lot of people are like, oh, you only want to benefit nullsec, or oh, you only want to benefit wormholes, or this or that. Like, that doesn't happen because CCP is not, like, they're not that stupid. Like, they're old players. They know people who are going to try and game the fucking system. Like, they don't really fall for that at all.
But before we flip over to something that is really near and dear to my heart, and something I just truly want to get to, I want to ask Jen, not you, Brisk, because you're kind of an unindicted co-conspirator in this. But Jen, can we go back to the changes to Hictors and the discussion that resulted in collateral damage and things like that? Can you tell us whether or not the CSM that had no wormholers on it actually said to CCP, you know, this is going to fuck wormholers over hard, right?
In the room, we mentioned, hey, Suetonia specifically is the person who brought this up, because Suetonia is the kind of person who has this, like, encyclopedic knowledge of, like, every EVE mechanic that has ever existed. And he mentioned that this would cause an issue with that, and CCP to us at the time said, hey, yep, that's something we'll look into and we'll try and fix. So we knew that a fix was in development whilst all the collateral damage shit was blowing up. So, like, we
And
knew
before
that...
anybody tries to get Jin kicked off
Yeah.
the CSM for putting that's all in the minutes, by the way.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
so, like, we knew, like, as all of this chaos was coming out, that, like, a fix had already been figured out. And, like, a fix was already basically coming. We just couldn't say anything because CCP hadn't said anything.
And that
Right,
was the
it's fucking
hardest
pointless.
part. Like, I kept saying over and over again, guys, I'm pretty sure they're going to fix this. Or, guys, I think they're going to fix this. Because I couldn't say, yes, they're going to fix it.
But
It was driving me
At
crazy.
the time the initial thing kind of came up, the CSM fought back on that on behalf of wormholers, saying that this is going to fuck them over. Not hey, we need this thing fixed over here, and yeah, we're with you, Rise. Fuck those guys for now.
No, the whole thing, and it was all in the minutes, was basically that we had a list of stuff that had been on previous CSM lists, people had asked for, and one of the things was fixing the 500 MN hick bug, because it's a pain in the ass in nullsec when people exploit the thing, and they didn't want to call it an exploit, so they just wanted to fix it. But
The
obviously,
annoying
fixing
thing
it
is
would have
that,
had an
like-
impact on the wormholers, so they
Well,
had to come up with something that
When
would
that
balance it out.
And the
understand
sad
story
thing
of
is
how
that,
it
like,
had to-
that whole
I'm
thing
trying
was,
to
like-
find out whether or not the CSM, okay, because like words that were being spoken again this week were
Dirk, I
guess what?
Dirk, it's
fucking
in the
answered
minutes.
your
It's
question.
in the minutes, dude.
I answered
I know
your
that's what I said
fucking
to them, too.
question.
I wanted you to answer that tonight, just because I wanted to make sure I fucking asked it tonight, even twice.
It was in the minutes. Yes, we talked about it.
Yeah. Well, and when that first post came out, though, the thing I didn't understand about the whole rage with the collateral damage, yeah, they used the word collateral damage, but they even said in that same post that they were looking for, that CCP was going to look into making a fix for that.
Yeah, I mean, we had that discussion where I
That, like
said
that was
all
in the last
wormholers were
sentence
being
of it.
big
So
babies
it's
about
like everyone was blowing
they're-
up, and it's like they're
CCP
gonna
was
get
like,
it
hey
fixed.
guys, we understand
I think
wormholes are
it's-
facing this damage. We're gonna try and fix it, and everyone's like, the wormholes, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. They're gonna fix your stupid exploit, you whiners.
I totally understand why people would respond like that, given CCP's track record of actually doing what they say they're gonna do. So, like,
I'm not gonna
it's-
lie.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I can only thank fucking Bob or whoever the hell it is that whole like collateral damage term came out. I got a freaking T-shirt out of it this year. I believe that collateral damage
know if
has
this is
been
the
the
one.
freaking like no, it's not. I believe that freaking collateral
other one?
damage is something that happens in a sandbox of this size with the development process it has. Collateral damage, like it should almost be a slogan at this point.
Yeah, it was a
Collateral damage.
Yeah, it was with the new logo.
It's a
This
feature,
is
not a
the
bug.
this is the MAGA, the MAGA Eve shirt.
That being
Now,
said,
Dirk, you're absolutely right. If this was a section of the community that could laugh at itself, but they can't do that, so they're not going to do that.
The
No,
only
no, they're not,
only
but the-
MAGA in
But the
Eve
point is to try and get people to understand that
Well,
you know what,
mega-
you CSM
make Eve
members
great again.
actually do speak
It's
on
mega.
behalf of other groups out there. It is not just a siloed thing of make mining and ratting better in Delve or wherever they're from.
Careful, Rune Star. We have a wormhole around here.
No, that's true. I am an autistic crybaby. So.
Oh, okay. Well then, I mean,
Here, Vinagini, okay? CSM has traditionally been advocated for nullsec play. Here's one of the problems, okay?
Wrong.
Nullsec play gets a lot of CCP time on its own without them having to advocate it. If the CSM are there, they're probably trying to fight over things that CCP is bringing to the table, not that they're necessarily bringing to the table. And I hate to say this, but it's because nullsec is this free-for-all kind of place, not like wormholes. I completely believe that wormholes are a more free-for-all place, but it is a lower segment of the population of the community and all that kind of shit. Okay,
that was a quick
it
disclaimer.
gets more attention because of the player-driven narrative that takes place there. It's not the Rails-driven stuff, and unfortunately, it's not Wormhole as well. And that's why I do believe that Wormhole needs a voice, because they are one of the ultimate kind of manifestations of of player-driven narrative out in the game.
Well, if you ask them, they don't need a voice because
Get your
when
vote
bad
together,
things
bitches.
happen, they fix it themselves. So,
Get
but
your
hey,
vote
you know
together.
what? Zuki's running again. I hope that he does what he didn't do last time, which is unify all the wormhole guys and get everybody behind him so that he can get elected. He almost had the votes. If he does it this time and he gets everybody behind him, then he can probably get on. But they have to unify, and they probably need 2 or 3 candidates to run and have everybody vote for all 3 of them. And if they do that, then there's a chance that they can get at least one person on. But they got to be unified. And if Zuki can't do that, then somebody else has to do that. I mean, that's the only way they're going to pull it off. But they don't listen to me, so they'll ignore that and do what they want and not end up with anybody and then complain about it tomorrow.
That being said, we've got 12 minutes left in the show, and
Game of Thrones.
there's something near and dear to my
All right,
to
all
my
right.
to
Spoiler
my icy
warning.
heart.
Spoiler warning.
Spoiler.
If you have
Wait, we
not
gotta hum it.
Is this where I get to like dub in Game of Thrones?
Anyway, if you have not seen the most recent Game of Thrones episode or are not
Hang
caught
up,
up to
go
that,
away.
hang up, go. Like, this will be the last topic of the night, so if you just leave now, you are not going to miss anything else in the show.
Arya died. Arya died.
Go watch Judge Sarn.
Spoiler
Go watch
warnings.
Joe Bane.
Spoiler warnings. So
Don't
from
watch
here on
this.
out, we're going spoilers. Okay, let's go.
All right, what the fuck do you mean, Chainsaw Plankton? This episode was fucking bullshit. Nothing happened. Like 3 characters died, and I cared about 0 of them.
Right.
I'm supposed to be sad that the creepy
Let's-
pedo guy and like the random dude who was in the fucking Night's Watch. I'm supposed to be sad that those died. Give me a fucking break.
Let's take it from that standpoint. There were a lot of people who were who were let down by the fact that there wasn't even one main character other than the Night King who fucking bought it, right? But
I think Theon
during
is the most
entire
important character to
time
die.
of the 80-something minutes that it was, you're just sitting there holding your breath, wondering who it was that was gonna freaking get it, right?
I
There was
a
no
little...
one like Theon.
Theon is
and
probably the most
Theon
important
Theon
to
and
die.
Jorah. It was Theon and Jorah, and then you had
And
other
Jorah.
like Beric, Ed,
Lady Marmont.
Lady Mormont. Yeah, but like
I was
like,
okay.
Lady Mormont, that's a
Mormont
big deal.
is-
She was a fan
she
favorite.
was
Mormont-
great, but like she was not
She had a
integrated
good
into the
death, though.
story.
They were
She
all
wasn't
secondary
intrigued,
or
but she was probably the most
tertiary
shocking death because I was like, they aren't going to kill off this little
Yeah,
like
I thought
12-year-old
that.
A
girl.
dragon didn't
Yeah.
die.
Nope, Dragon
Le-
didn't die. It was in
Lyanna-
the previews. Ghost didn't
Alright,
die.
so unironically, Lyanna Mormont was like the only death that I was like, oh shit, I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah,
That was,
that was
that's the only
unexpected.
death where I was
It's
fuck.
like Beric knew that was coming. Melisandre even said she's like, "I'll be dead tomorrow." I was like, "Okay, well, that's prophecy." Like she knows.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
completely
somehow she's
forgot
gonna die.
about
So
her.
like,
That's foreshadowing this about
when
as
she lived
fucking
throughout the whole
subtle as a
battle, I was like,
fucking
oh, and then
sledgehammer vasectomy.
yeah, the second she walks up to or sees the Onion Knight, I forget his Davos, and she starts like just walking out. I'm like, okay, she's gonna like take the necklace off or whatever. She's gonna die, and then she did that. I was like, that's not surprising.
Her
Is that-
death was
is that
so
how you thought
fucking
she was gonna die,
shitty too. Her
really
her
kinda
death
was.
was shitty.
No,
Like,
I
why
thought
did
it was
she-
good. That was very good.
No,
that was
her
very
death
well
was-
she
done.
had
I'm
all
glad
this
she
story
helped out,
build
but
up, and then
still,
it's like,
fuck
That
oh,
was
that
that
you
was a
walk
Shane
off
kind of
into the
dying. I like
sunset.
that. Like
Still fuck
walking
that lady.
off and then
Let's
dying.
reel it back. Let's
Yeah.
reel it back to the beginning of what was going on here, right? We had 2 episodes that were like kind of the lead up to this, right? We had the reunification kind of episode. We had the second episode was the
Hey,
eve
hey,
of
hey!
the-
No, no,
with
no!
preparation
I
of-
got a thing. Like unsung cesspool is like winter is here. Winter is coming for like season 7. Meh, Cersei is coming. I think the problem is actually that Cersei isn't coming. Like that's the whole problem in season 8. Like let's be real here.
That's
I'm trying to
Deathstroke
find out
or
if
you
there's
Har,
a double
har, har.
entendre that's fucking built in there.
But she obviously is because she's banging Balin or whatever the hell it was. What's that guy's name? Which
Euron.
Greyjoy is that?
You're on.
Euron.
That scene was
Euron.
also
Oh,
fucking
Euron,
Euron,
retarded
Greyjoy.
Euron,
and
Oh,
made me
you're talking about
protest.
Cersei. I thought you were talking about, yeah.
The scene where
Euron.
fucking Cersei and Euron fuck is like literally the worst scene of this whole season. Like
but
You don't
holy
even
shit, it
do
just
was no
ruins
scene.
both of those
It's
guys.
after.
Like you just see the nod to my room or whatever, and then like next thing you know, he's got a
The
fucking
guy
smile
is just
going
so
mad.
fucking cocky. It's like I'm wondering
He's such a
what.
cocksure piece of
But
shit.
whatever,
and somehow it
whatever.
just works.
Neither one of them were in this freaking episode, but
Yeah.
okay, you had the build up, you had the unification, the reunification of like a whole bunch of characters. You had a little bit of that in in the second episode, and the eve of battle type stuff and all the shit that went on there. And then you basically had the okay shit's going on. One of the biggest things of this week, right, was the
Arya number 1.
well.
Shots.
Are we literally jumping right to the? Okay, all right.
You guys are triggering Dirk so hard.
No, hold on. Everybody's
wanna
lined up
say
for
it-
fucking battle. It's goddamn dark out. Okay.
It was hard
all of
to
a sudden-
see.
No,
all of a
I don't
sudden-
wanna
all of a
talk
sudden,
about
Melisandre comes in and going, I'm giving you guys all fucking +5 flaming swords. Like, shit was getting real, right? Next thing you know, +5 flaming swords in the hands of the goddamn horse people or whatever.
Dothraki.
The
Oh, dude, I
Dothraki
was
are like-
so
Hellsingers.
mad.
They're like,
apparently-
hey guys,
apparently
let's
means
just
charge
fucking
into darkness in a non-recon zone.
I
Well,
know. Well,
that's
Dude,
the,
I don't
that
know-
was
I
the
don't know
one
how
thing
you're
that I
that
was
disbad
frustrated the
at
most with
that's
in this
what I
episode.
said. It's
is
like
that
you don't blindly send your cavalry out.
you
into-
never use your
Okay,
cavalry like
We're
that ever.
defending you guys. Let's
Especially
run
when
it.
you know the enemy forces are so massively overwhelming, like from horizon to horizon.
You don't
You
know-
don't just
you don't
send
know
your
that,
cavalry up the middle.
But you
Well,
didn't
here's what
even
you don't
know
do.
that.
You
All
don't
you
do
knew,
a
all they
recce, a force
knew was
recce with your only cavalry. That's fucking dumb. Now
All
they're all
you-
dead.
Guys, they get
Yeah.
stronger with
All
more
they
dead
It's
knew
like
people.
they've
was
Let's
that
give
never
them
played
dead
All
cavalry.
right, wait.
all they
It's like-
knew was that they didn't have the fucking previews, people. You guys are aware of this, right? All they knew was that there was a bunch of motherfuckers out there, okay, in the dark somewhere.
Yeah, but why the
That's it.
fuck?
That was
okay,
all the intel
duh,
they had at the
duh.
moment.
No,
why?
they
What's
had-
his
Okay,
face,
they had
what's his
prior
face in the
intel of that.
wheelchair had not freaking put his drones up yet to fly Ravens out there.
Dirk, fucking
didn't know.
Stephen
They were
Hawking had a
crows.
fucking flaming pit and like spikes and shit, like ready to protect people, and he was like, "Let me put my army in front of
Yeah.
the defenses.
Let's stand in
Let me
front
put
of the
my
obstacle
siege
instead of
artillery
behind
in
the
front of
obstacle.
my line artillery.
I'm not
Like,
gonna lie
it
though.
was so retarded. It was just like the dumbest
Even
thing
the
I've ever
most
seen in my life.
rookie Command and Conquer player knows you don't put the artillery in front of the fucking.
Yeah, it was
Put
like
it
they
in the back.
never
That
played
was
Total
really
War.
stupid too.
And
I
I
also,
mean,
honestly
that all
thought
should have
they
been
were
behind
just-
the walls.
I
There was
thought
no reason for that.
everyone was gonna die though, based on like that start of
Leroy
that
the
battle,
Dothraki
where they just
Jenkins.
fucking like Leroy the Dothraki, they waste the Unsullied by just fucking. They're like defend the retreats, and then they just all stand there like 3 rows of them dying, and then they're like, oh, we can't start the fire. Like I was like, fuck it, Winterfell's falling. You guys are fuck this shit up. Like how badly can you fuck this shit up?
Here's the thing: you're fighting a defensive war because you're outnumbered. You don't charge into them. You sit back and
Correct.
you launch artillery and artillery and artillery, and you let
All
them
they
come
do
to
is sit on
you.
top
You,
of the
you
wall
enjoy
and
the
just, like,
fact that you're
hack
behind
people.
walls.
Right.
and you
Well,
let them
the thing
come
is,
and
like,
shoot
not
them.
everyone could fit in the walls. I don't know. And the thing is, like, there's other castle defenses in history where, like, defensive battles have happened outside the castle walls.
It's
which
not
is
that
kind of
great of a castle, though.
it's
for,
kind of
a
like
siege.
counterintuitive. Like, why wouldn't you all hide behind the walls? Because the walls kind of limit the number of people that can effectively fight, and therefore
You
you.
just put them. You
like,
put them on the
I
edge
don't
of the wall,
know.
and then they have to single file fucking World War Z climb up it, and you're just like, oh wow, my Dragon
Against such an
Blast sword,
over-
one hit kill.
Yeah,
Slash
didn't
slash
these
slash.
people
Like
see
wow,
World
what
War
the fuck?
Z?
Yeah,
Yeah,
against
like,
such
what
an
the
overwhelming
fuck?
force as that, I don't think you would try to fight a battle outside the castle walls at all. But it has.
No,
Let's
you would,
just-
you would
let's
totally
just all
try
agree-
and fight that battle outside the castle walls, okay? But you would try and, like, one would think, fight it not at the front door.
No,
That
Like,
obstacle,
not be like, bitches come at us. You know,
their
you know,
obstacle
like,
plan was
maneuver.
complete ass.
And-
Why would
and
you put
another
your
thing was brought up
obstacles
is,
right outside the wall. That's
the
dumb.
number of trebuchets they had there, tree buckets, Dirk.
Tree buckets?
tree, they
Tree
would not
buckets.
have all fit in the courtyard, so that's why those had to be outside.
That's another reason.
So like those had to be
That's
outside.
fine. Put them behind the obstacle.
Yes.
Right, right.
them
Put them
behind
behind the
the
obstacle and
troops.
you launch it, and then when the enemy starts getting close enough, abandon the trebuchets, get inside the castle walls, and like the undead aren't gonna give a fuck. They're gonna
However,
destroy those
They
trebuchets.
used like one volley
now
of
that we know that
trebuchets,
now
by
that
the
we
way.
know that their initial attack was was bad, and now that we know that their lineup was bad, right? Now we're like into fighting room to room and all that kind of shit, right? Like it's like it's pretty bad in that freaking courtyard, and of course, yes, Lady Mormont, who I honestly thought got wiped the fuck out when that giant walked through and I think stumbled over her ass or some shit. Okay,
He swiped
Like,
her. He
I'm
swiped
like-
her with his
I'm
hand,
like,
not the
is that
club.
how
So
she went out?
He
Like,
didn't-
is that how she went out? She got freaking
Yeah.
just like run over a little bit.
no, I knew she didn't quite die because he
Speed bumps to the
swiped her
giant.
with his hand. He didn't hit her with the club. So I'm like,
Guys, it's really
non-lethal
safe in
weapon?
the crypts though.
Like that was not a
Oh yeah,
that was
it's
not a
safe
nat
in the
20
crypts
on
with
the
all the
on
dead
the
people.
D20.
Great
so,
idea.
But I was a little shocked that she died.
Was anybody?
I was too, yeah.
Was anybody surprised when the Night King is standing out there, and fucking he's just chilling, and Daenerys and Dragon like roll up and like she gives smug face going light the bitch up,
I knew he
and,
wasn't gonna
Paris.
die.
and he walked through that like freaking Samuel
That
L.
was-
Jackson.
Based on the
That wasn't
time left in
surprising
the
at all.
show, yes. I was like, is he gonna survive? Nope.
Yeah,
I
that's the
knew
same
he
thing
was-
I
I
had.
knew-
I was like,
He's
oh
not gonna
shit, is he
Signal,
gonna survive?
This ain't gonna work.
I knew that was not going to be the end of him. I was like, that like he's already put fire out. He was like the weather spell he put on the battlefield was causing the dragon fire to not even stay ignited on the ground. So it's like I knew that it also by the runtime left. It's like there's still 40 minutes left in the episode. That
Yeah,
shit
the
ain't gonna
time.
get it.
Yeah, there was no way that was ever going to happen.
A lot of people bitch about like kind of the darkness of it all, right? Which honestly, watching it in my dark basement with my big fucking
See,
screen
that would've
TV
been
and shit
fine.
like
Yeah,
that.
you had to
I
turn the
didn't-
lights off.
I didn't.
Otherwise, you
I
couldn't see
didn't
anything.
notice a lot of the things, but I also saw it for kind of what it was. They were trying to make you experience like this was not
Terror of the Unknown.
well lit battle. In the actual like it would have been dark as fuck.
Yeah, it was
And
it
they were
was
trying
it
to
was
give you some of
terrifying
that. Like,
because
a
you
lot
couldn't
of-
see
a lot
shit
of
and then
this
random
reminds
shit
me
was
of a lot
Called
of
the
popping out.
Night
zombie movies,
King.
actually.
Yeah,
Oh
it
no,
You
was,
I
save a
actually,
lot
I
of
actually
money
really liked the
rendering
lighting
when
in
you
the
don't have to
episode.
render that
Like the
far.
lighting was the best part. Like
The-
the actual atmosphere was really good. It's just the fact that the writers completely like pussied out and didn't kill off like some serious characters. Like
Yeah.
why didn't Daenerys die? Like Daenerys should have died in that episode, realistically.
well,
Or
I-
Jon
Daenerys should have
surrounded by
fucking-
I can see
everyone.
Daenerys.
Well,
I
should
mean,
have
John
fucking
rolls
eaten
up on the
shit.
Night King, want to go 1v1, and the Night King's like, Thanos snap, and boom, that's when like everybody comes alive. John is surrounded, absolutely surrounded. That mother, he should be dead
Exactly.
as fuck
Yeah.
right now.
He
Can you,
been
can you
dead.
imagine how interesting of a plot twist it would have been as well if it's like, oh shit, there's no John left.
Well, also,
it's,
like-
it's fucking Daenerys and Sansa, and they have to control the
Dude,
North
there was a-
together,
there
despite
was
the
a
fact
point
they
in that
hate each other.
episode-
That would have been
was-
so cool.
There was a point in that episode when I thought it was going to be serious to God freaking Game of Thrones, that the ultimate result here could have been the entire wipeout of Winterfell. Like, it should have been the entire wipeout of Winter. Like, it never should have even gotten to the end result where it was like, oh shit, which we'll get to in a second. But, like, it could have wiped out everybody there, and Game of Thrones could have actually gone on with who was left and been like, you guys, what? You think this is a fair world?
Bitch.
Well, the thing is, like, some of the characters, like Jamie, her story arc is finished. I was like, she's probably dead. Or, well, I mean, not Jamie, Brienne, sorry. Or Jamie, one of the two.
Oh yeah, I was for sure.
I think maybe Jamie's got some stuff left with
Jamie's
Cersei.
gonna die.
Yeah, Jamie still got some stuff left with Cersei, so I think he had a little bit of plot armor, but I was thinking Brienne, it's like, she's done. And it will cause drama with Jamie, too.
Oh yeah, like her arc ended.
I
'cause
was,
she got fucking knighted.
I was glad that it didn't happen, but I was like, I think Tormund's gonna die. Like, he's probably one of my favorite characters. I fucking love Tormund. Also, Grey Worm, I figured he was done. Like, there were so many, and the thing is, like, these characters, all three, like Jamie, Brienne, and Tormund, and Grey Worm, all four of them. There were multiple times where they were getting swarmed on the ground with
Grey Worm
zombies,
should not have lived. There
including
was
Sam.
no reason for
Shut
him
up,
to
because
live.
him
Sam
and
also-
okay,
Sam
so
was-
you
whatever
know-
her name is are so cute.
I'm
Do you
saying
wanna
Sam
know
also
my
was getting
Doesn't
crack
swarmed
matter.
by
cocaine?
zombies,
He was,
and they
he-
don't die.
That guy was a main character, but he was totally and utterly expendable. They should have killed him off. We're not going to get Brienne and Jamie are going to end up together, so they're not going to end up. They're not dying until they hook up.
I feel like Brienne's
Um,
gonna die. I feel like she's
his-
gonna
his
die
mic-
to
his-
save Jamie.
I think
Here's
either
my
Jamie's
quote,
gonna
though.
die saving her, or she's gonna die saving Jamie.
No, Jamie has to kill Cersei. So, Brienne dies defending Jamie from Bronn.
I've always thought that
Here's my call. Like
I-
everyone dies. Everyone like dies or moves around, and like the only person who's left standing is Varys. And we like
I love
realize
Varys.
that Varys is really like the mastermind behind everything.
he like yeah maybe, but
He planned this all
I
along.
think
those
the idea
eunuchs,
that
dude,
you
eunuchs
should
are
expect-
sneaky.
I think the idea that anyone should expect a hero to be the one, a protagonist to be the one to sit upon the throne at the end, as though at the end of all of this, all that is right in the world came to be. Like, that's
Disney, what fucking thing have you been watching? Yeah, exactly.
that's sort of not right. It's more the reality of no. Sometimes, you know what, evil actually, like badness actually perseveres.
Wait,
Yeah.
what if it's not like evil or bad, but what if it's just your characters, the characters everyone's been rooting for, whether it's Cersei to Jamie to fucking Danny or John? Like, what if it's just none of them?
Yeah,
What
well,
what if
in a
it's
way,
like the
that's kind of
random
what I
ass
mean, but,
fucking
like,
background character?
Actually, one of my-
throwing
one
it
of my
to, like,
favorite
a bad
TV
person that you
shows-
weren't rooting for is actually the one on there. Now you could have just some freaking rando, like, you know, like if all of a sudden Fat Sam is on the fucking Game of Thrones at the end, are you going to be like, wow, that didn't work out how I
He
thought?
should have
But,
been
like,
dead too. Like, he was on the ground covered in zombies, just freaking out, stabbing, and John was like hesitated, went back like, oh no, you know what, bro? I don't got time for you. I got shit to do. And he kept going. I was like, Sam's dead. Didn't die.
John didn't do shit there, by the way. He
John just
fucking
kinda
fell off
hid.
the dragon.
Just kind of hit
just,
for
like,
the dragon. I mean, I
flashing
would
zombies.
too, but
Like Arya #1 shots.
see, the thing is, like, I honestly thought, since, you know, the whole time, like, Cersei's been on Arya's list, I was like, Arya's gonna be the one to kill Cersei. Well, now she's killed the Night King. You can't have her take out both the arch
Yes, you
villains.
can.
Dude,
Do
she
you
could be
remember
the
what?
slaughterer
Do you
of
remember
all
what
time.
She kind of has been the
Melisandre said about the
disposer
color eyes?
of
I'm doing a
baddies.
shot,
Blue
Like,
eyes,
it's not the-
green
it's not the,
eyes,
like what Rain was
Cersei.
doing to
yeah,
there before.
like she's been the disposer of baddies. It's like Walder Frey. Everyone hates that guy after the Red Wedding. Arya got
Yeah.
him.
Can I say I called Arya killing the Night King too?
That-
like
that-
it got to that end of that episode
You
with
really
the Night
did.
King looking at Bronn. I'm like, guys.
And by the way,
it's Arya.
we're like literally for the last 3 episodes in Talking in Stations Game of Thrones spoilers fucking chat, we have like live talked about this in there as this is going on. I'm not gonna lie, I've probably missed a couple things and therefore I've had to go back and, like, you know, watch this shit. It has been so enjoyable talking to you. It's like we're people in a movie theater going, what the fuck?
By the way,
nice
if,
too, 'cause
if
you
you
can
guys
message
actually like, if you guys
about-
want to see like an actual like Game of Thrones style story where it actually stays completely true to the theme throughout, definitely watch Utopia. It was a Channel 4 film, and it's super not film, TV series. It has like 12 episodes, and you should absolutely watch every single one. It's super fucking good. It's like a super like cult classic thing. It's really fucking depressing, but you should watch it.
Well,
It's basically what would happen if like the first season of Game of Thrones was the entire like series of Game of Thrones.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, 'cause
Just
Game
fucking
of
brutal.
Thrones is very loosely based on the War of the Roses, but it's not exact. But I went and because I knew of the War of the Roses, but I didn't know anything about it, so I went and like started watching all this like history and like reading all through it to try and like kind of get this like metagaming knowledge of like, oh, maybe I can figure out what's gonna happen in Game of Thrones. And it's like the thing is like all the Game of Thrones characters are kind of like partially based on some and partially based on others. Like it's like the Earl of Warwick is like Jaime's kind of that because of the Kingmaker. He's the King Slayer, but then you also get like where he's trying to arrange marriages for not Edward the Fourth. What's the other one?
Henry VIII.
No, he's the one that eventually becomes king in the long run. No, the other
Henry
guy.
Aethelred the
Oh no,
Unready.
Edward.
Edward the Fourth and
Who is the other guy that
Richard?
John of Gaunt.
Not Richard
That
the
was the father.
Third. Richard the Third was the other one. That was like the uncle.
Right.
Maegor the Cruel.
Henry. So I think it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So
Henry the Fifth, I think.
he's trying to arrange the marriage but then like the king finds someone else that he likes instead, and it ruins the marriage. I'm like, well, that's like Catelyn Stark trying to arrange the marriage with the Freys, and I was like, so I see all these like things where it's like, okay, there's multiple parts of all these different characters coming from the real War of the Roses, and they're all mixed all over the fucking place, so you can't make any predictions. But then again, I think John kind of embodies the whole Henry the Eighth. Or
No.
Henry the Sixth, Henry the Eighth, whatever the Henry was.
Henry
that-
VIII was not a good one.
Okay, let me ask you guys this question.
He's like
Okay,
Henry was the nobody noble that eventually became king at the end of it, and that's kind of like John being like the nobody bastard that becomes king at the end.
like
Do you guys?
we
Oh,
have,
go on.
we have we have seen the Lannisters kind of like go through this, right? And there's a whole bunch of people that don't want the fucking Lannisters because they've been like controlling this shit, you know, since like the beginning, right? But like even the fucking the protagonists, the heroes, whatever the hell you want to call them, right? Like, don't we have questions about all of them at this point? Like, have they not gone through character arcs that we sit there and say, geez, I've got legit questions about every one of them. I'm not sure where they would be on my Game of Thrones ballot right now. I might actually noisy gamer this shit and only like, you know, pick the dragon #1 and like
I don't know.
Ghost the wolf, like when he reappears, like at some point. Like I may sit there and go, "Fuck all these people." Like, honestly, none of
I
them
don't know.
truly deserve it.
I've thought the Starks have done really well. I feel like the Starks are the cliche good characters, and like they've all taken different tracks, but they've all kind of come out on, oh, you know, like we're still kind of true to ourselves, our family matters most, or whatever. But I'm just curious if you guys think Dany and Jon are still gonna end up together, assuming neither of them dies, or if they're gonna betray each other at some point.
They might end up together. There might be betrayal. I mean, like
Jon's
there's
only in it for
obviously
the ass.
that whole now he has the actual because the whole thing with Dany is her the whole time like she's like other people have like they have a claim to the throne because they conquered it or they usurped it, whatever. Her whole thing is like she is the rightful heir to the throne because
She's wanted it since season 1. She's not getting it too obvious.
I know, but like she's wanted it, and the whole. But she's been pushing. She's like, I have the rightful claim to it, and technically, she would. But now Jon is along, and he is he's actually
competitor.
the son of the son that would have been the heir after the Mad King. So he is the true male heir to the throne in
It's so out of
succession.
character for him.
I know
Like,
it is, but I'm just saying, like he
I'm
has.
telling you
Jon
right
would
now, I
100%
threw
give it
it
up.
out there in our spoilers thing today. This is my fucking call. He sits there and goes, "Look, baby, I just love you. Take it.
I know he wouldn't want it, but I'm just saying, like
I just want that."
I
ass."
feel
He
like
has.
I feel like so right now only like 4 people know. So you have like Bran, Sam, Jon, and Dany. And I feel like Jon would just be like, nope, I'm not gonna claim this. You guys know me as Jon Snow. I am staying Jon Snow.
The
He's not
are
gonna-
spaceships.
Yeah, I don't
That
think
would be
that, I
it.
don't think he wants it, but I'm just saying he technically has the rightful claim, and that supersedes Dany's whole legitimacy thing that she's been playing on this entire show, and so now she has this like might be back of the mind type of grudge, but there's this begrudging thing. I don't know if they'll act on it. I don't know if she'll actually betray him, but there is that tension now.
Well, there is tension now because all of a sudden she's not just like, you know, looking at him being like, oh, you're here to help me? Fine. She's going, wait a second. You have a claim that supersedes me. Therefore, I'm looking at you a little bit fucking different. I thought she was going to frag him during the fight. I'm not going to freaking lie. I thought that was a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
I'm
could have
gonna
been.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go-
when
I'm
he
gonna
was
go-
fighting
I'm
the
gonna go
dead,
with
she, like,
Pando
looks
out
down
there.
season.
Pando and I are on the same page. I believe that Jamie is going to realize what is really fucking bad here. I believe the whole Kingslayer, or in this case, Queenslayer, is going to come back into the whole thing. It's going to come full circle, and you're going to see that happen. I don't know how Jamie's going to get taken out in the process. Probably the Mountain. Okay, but like I believe that Cersei's going to die at the hands of her own brother, baby daddy.
Hey, I would just like everyone to know that I've gotten 2 solo kills during this podcast.
I thought you were playing
Nice.
Chessmaster 9000 or some shit.
No, it's called Dota Auto Chess, bro.
Whatever.
But no, I just got a
That's what
solo
Panda's
kill using
playing.
a Griffin Navy issue, the worst ship in EVE
Honestly,
Online.
I'm fucking reporting you to CCP right now. Griffin Navy.
But this episode, regardless of whether or not you thought more people should have died, regardless of like all like if you weren't fucking kind of huffing and puffing during that, because like you saw moments where it was like one of your favorite characters had that opportunity to like get gutted the fuck out. That was real. I had to get up at fucking 5 o'clock the next morning, and I'm sitting there like after the episode got over, and after I'm sitting there talking to you guys in freaking Discord and shit like that, and I'm going, I'm just not even sure I can get, like, I gotta drink coffee right now just to bring this shit down. That was a freaking big ass episode.
It was huge.
And props to them. Even though I think they skimped on the lighting, they couldn't freaking do it. The quality, like, it was the longest battle episode ever, but it was not the highest quality battle episode ever, which I still give
No,
to
it was
Lord of the
okay.
Rings.
So little fun fact: it wasn't just the longest battle episode of Game of Thrones. It was the longest filmed battle episode in the history
Ever.
of film
Ever.
of
Yeah,
any
that's why I'm
movie
giving it
or
to Lord
show
of the
ever
Rings.
made. It was the longest battle scene. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, because the Battle of the Bastards was pretty long too, and apparently that is the second longest battle in film ever. Is the Battle of the Bastards between Jon and Ramsay Bolton.
And by the way,
That
for all
episode.
you people out there bitching about the lighting and all that, same guy did the lighting for all their major battles and shit like that. So don't just blame it on him like he was some fucking rookie coming in and shit.
No, it was also the longest production time at night. 55 nights to film that show. To film.
Almost the entire episode, which after everybody was bitching about the short, episodes that were in, episode 1 and 2, right? 85 minutes or something like that, and almost the entirety of it. And I'm sorry, I don't believe that we actually did mention the fact that the Night King kills Theon, right? Theon charges him in his last effort to be like, I've earned it back. I'm going to charge over there, and like, we'll see how this shit works out, which we all knew how it was going to work out once he charged. Okay. The Night King walks the fuck up. He's looking at Bran for a while, being like, what was he thinking at that point? Was he like, shit, I didn't even know you were in like this wheelchair thing and whatnot. But let me think about this for a second. But I got this smirk on my face because you know what? I'm just going to I'm going to shank your ass in a second. Give me a moment. Give me a fucking moment. I was actually waiting for the credits to cut right there. I thought we might have the potential for finding out in the next episode that this continued on.
Oh, the Night King
And
thing?
then out of motherfucking nowhere.
Arya.
Like literally out of nowhere, because I'm still wondering if she was hanging on a branch upstairs or whatever.
Well,
But,
she's
out of fucking nowhere.
Well, because so that's the thing that let's go into that, because when he stabbed Theon and Theon goes down, he's like coughing up blood. I was like, he's not dead yet. I'm not dead yet.
Did you
Timing
think,
for the
did you
fuel.
think Theon was gonna get up and all of a sudden like shank him in the back?
I
or
was
something?
thinking, when it showed one of the other lieutenant guys and his little hair rustled and he like turned his head a little bit, I was like, here comes Theon. It was like Arya. I was like, ah, shit. Okay, maybe I should have seen that coming since the guy mentioned blue eyes and she went off running with a mission. But whatever. The little move where he caught her, I was like, oh fuck, and then she drops the knife and gets him. I was like,
Yeah.
ninja.
I-
You know
that
the worst
took
part?
me
I hate
so
the
off
2020
guard.
fucking hindsight of saw that coming, knew she did the hand flip. It's like
You can't talk shit. I predicted that, Dirk.
To be fair,
you
the hand
predicted
flip was,
Arya,
like-
but you didn't predict the hand flip.
Oh
Like, you
no,
know,
I did
Shank.
not predict how. Though when he
To be
when he
fair,
like fucking
the hand
choked
flip
her.
was like mad foreshadowed in her fight against Brienne. Go and watch it.
Now that you think back upon it, right? I guess.
Though like it was
Yeah,
really
but I mean that's the
interesting.
point of foreshadowing, Dirk.
Well, no,
it's that
I mean,
you see
but
it when
if-
you watch it again. That's the
But,
point
But
of
if
foreshadowing.
that's the case, then you could have said all of her training during all of this time was
Well,
the
no, 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 no.
foreshadowing that it was going to
Well,
be her.
wait, what was her the guy at Bravos and then Melisandre where she's like, what do we say to death?
Melisandre.
Not
Not
today.
today.
Right, that
But
was
the whole build up. She was like,
his
Brown
what is
eyes
it like
green
fighting
eyes,
the
Silvio,
White
blue eyes.
whatever
Walkers?
his name was.
No, what is it like fighting the White Walkers? And they're like, it's like death. What do we say to death? Not today.
Not today.
And it clicks. She's like, not today to death. So like she's like, oh, I have to do my thing. And
But
then
he's
Bran-
more than
Well,
death,
she said
though.
you'll silence
He is
brown
that.
eyes,
He
green
is-
eyes, and blue
he
eyes. Now
is-
brown eyes, I don't know who that. I'm assuming that was maybe the guard captain, and then green eyes, Walder Frey. No, Walder Frey didn't have green eyes. Maybe
I'm
Walder Frey
gonna
was
be
brown
I
eyes.
think
real
Green
with you,
Eyes is going to
bro.
be Cersei.
Green eyes.
I don't
maybe
give a shit
Cersei.
about the
Oh.
fucking
Cersei dies to her younger brother. That was
But
already
brown eyes,
predicted.
green eyes, and then she's like, and blue eyes, and that was the key, like Night King blue eyes.
And actually, of all the people that fucking Arya's killed at this
Okay,
point, like,
brown eyes is Walder
I can't-
Frey.
I
That's
can't
what
go
I'm
back to all their eyes.
Yeah, green is Alanis. Okay, so maybe she does kill Cersei then. Like, so she's
That's
she's just
illegal.
like the
Like, his
she's
last
just
word.
the boss fight extraordinaire. Like she gets all the bosses.
Well, Crayman's asking where did she even jump from? Honestly, we don't know. She could have like all of her training.
'Cause
She
she
could
had
have been
some
hiding in
vertical.
the tree. She could have been hiding in the tree. She could have jumped from like the ledges
She's a
or some
ninja. She
bullshit.
could jump-
She
Like,
had
yeah.
to hold on. She had to come in from behind, right? Which we know was
I think
all
she
of
just
which
ran and
was all
jumped.
of the White Walker generals and freaking whites and shit like that, right? Like I don't know. And then she got supreme vertical. I mean, like honestly, she has got some NFL combine vertical.
Well, she's got the hops. I mean, she's a ninja, Dirk. Like the thing is, like
They might explain it. Hopefully, they explain.
so
something.
all the undead are the eyes of the Night King. Like he sees through all of them. So he's kind of
Teleport axe.
he's kind of like
Wait,
not
hold on.
he's not
The best-
omniscient,
the
but
best
like
meme I saw from where she came from was Doctor what's his face from the fucking Avengers opened up a fucking rift behind him.
yeah, well, like so
Doctor
so
Strange.
he's
Doctor
not
Strange,
omniscient, but
thank
like
you, Toxic.
like the fact that because she obviously had to run past the throngs of undead that were like like surrounding the courtyard. Because I think like as she was going by the lieutenants, that's when she jumped, and that's why the thing like went by. Because the wind rustled the guy's hair, and when she got to the Night King, she was way higher than that. So like I think that was on her uptick. She ran and jumped, and like that. The guy's hair, and that's when he turned and saw her going up and over. And the fact
King
that he
James
saw her at
that
that
shit.
point, that's when the Night King knew she was coming, turned around, grabbed her.
Slam dunked him.
But also, Erox was saying, or wait, was it Erox? Where was it? Someone mentioned Clegane. Oh yeah, it was Erox. He's like, I want Clegane Bowl
Oh,
next
dude,
week. I was like, yes,
Okay,
Clegane Bowl.
wants
ironically-
Clegane Bowl.
Unironically, the Hound telling someone to fuck off when being asked to fight is like the most relatable
Everyone's
part.
like,
of
dying
that.
of Bert. He's
Were you guys a little
fuck off.
disappointed? Were you guys a little disappointed in him in this episode? I mean,
No.
No, I'm
He
not-
gets
a bunch
tricked
you have
by
to
fire.
remember that
because
he's
there
got
was
the
fire
fire thing,
around
so
him.
all
Fire
that
is
fire
his
would have scared the
weakness.
shit out of him.
Yeah.
the
See,
thing
a
is, like,
bunch of people were laying the fire thing down, but like,
He's
I
been
don't know.
around fire. I don't think the fact that fire being around him is as scary. I think fire being used against him is scary, but
Yeah,
none
like
of
in
that
his
fire was
face.
personally threatening him. I think he was just terrified of the dead.
I just like the Clegane because he's just an asshole. But
Yeah.
he's like the most honest character in the Game of Thrones because he doesn't fuck about being
Oh
an
my God.
asshole. He's just an
cat
he's
went
just an
over the
outright
sheets.
cunt.
I don't know if you can see him.
Dude, why are you
He's in
He's,
there.
he's, leg-
Is
he's
that your
legit one of my
cat?
favorite
Well,
characters.
he, like I put, he was like on top of the
Was he
bed.
sleeping?
He was laying on top of the
Aw.
bed. Now he like crawled underneath the sheets and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it actually had to do with fire. I thought a lot
It
of
had
people
to
were
do with
making
fire.
excuses about the
No.
fire.
It
but
has to do with fire, dude. Like, come on.
I think
That's
I think
literally
he was
his
sitting there
only
in his
weakness.
mind going, "God damn, I should be on a cruise ship to Brazos right now."
All right, let's
Stay
do another shot
fucking
to
nose
Arya.
horse.
But yes, so when I was expecting the credits to freaking roll, I thought the potential was there for that. Holy shit. There were a lot of people sitting there going, this is going to be one of those scare tactics moments, this whole freaking thing because of the lighting and all that kind of shit. Totally had no expectation that boom, out of nowhere, there it was, and Arya came out on top. Total fucking Game of Thrones, strong women, all that shit.
It's so good. So
But
the
now
reason it
we
was
saw
hard for
the
me to see.
previews for next week. We saw the previews for next week. It looks like it's all centered around down in King's Landing, or
I haven't
people
watched any
preparing
previews
for
for next
going
week.
against King's Landing and shit like that. You know, and
Wait. So they marched down there? Like they have no one to
well,
march
no,
with.
no, no, no,
All the
they were
extras
showing-
died except for the main characters.
all they were showing were scenes from King's Landing. You know, from it's like you can tell that it's moving from the north because now, right, we're back to Game of Thrones, kind of like, you know, now we're back to the throne. We're not about saving humanity. We're about, like, you know, Game of Thrones type shit.
All right,
Right.
we're done being heroes, boys. It's time to go back to
Yeah,
pointless
we gotta go back.
politicking
We gotta go back
bullshit.
to business. Okay, so that means Danny's gonna be like, okay, this shit's done, right? Okay, let's fucking, like, in a roll. We gotta move south and stuff. Okay, but how bad will it? There's 3 episodes left. There's only 3 episodes left to all of this. What if none of the main characters die until they all fucking die in the first 15 minutes of the last episode?
Bam.
That'd be
I would
really
just like
That
honestly
happens.
close it.
I'd say all of them die and Davos gets the Iron Throne.
What if they know that everybody is waiting for some main characters to die, but, like, who saw the Red Wedding coming? Besides maybe book readers.
Everyone
Did not
reads
see
All right,
that
those of us who
coming.
read the
So are,
books.
are you
But
Yeah.
predicting
besides
that,
maybe book readers or
No,
whatever.
well, book readers, but
are you
I didn't see
predicting
it
that
coming.
none of the main characters will die, and that'll be the
I'm
ultimate
just
fuck
saying,
you?
I feel like this is a show that wants to, like, fucking tease us with what we think is going to happen and then doesn't make it happen.
Yeah,
Right.
Red Wedding was like, I didn't notice anything. Like when the one person looked back and the person closed the dining hall doors and locked them, I was like, like that's the moment I was like, oh shit, and then so I don't know, like leave it to.
I did find a funny part. In this episode. There was one funny part, and that was when Tyrion and Sansa were, like, walking past, and they were, like,
Aw.
gonna try and hide in that little corner, but what's his face, the bald guy,
Varys.
Varys, and, like, a bunch of other people were like, "Bitches, move on. This place is full."
Yeah. Okay. So
By the
al-
way, how
also-
safe are those crypts?
Okay. Also, okay. Let's. So now that you mentioned Varys,
exactly as safe as anybody
so
who
down
watched
in the
The Walking
crypt,
Dead
down-
thought they were gonna be.
down in the crypt. What the hell was with that one scene where Sansa pulls out the dagger, looks at Tyrion, and like everyone I know thought the same thing. They make this like non-verbal suicide pact, and then what? Get up and go to like save the rest of the people. It's like I was like, oh shit, they're gonna both stab each other down here, and then like they didn't, and I was like, and then they get up and go help everyone else. I'm like, what was that whole look between each other and like the whole like kiss on the hand, like that's suicide pact level shit. Like what the hell? I'm glad they didn't do it because I like Sansa
What?
and I like
Oh.
Tyrion, but
Maybe Sansa was like, "Look, if we make it out of this shit, you and I are getting remarried again. It's all gonna be fucking good."
yeah, I was just like it was totally like I guess that was one of those like plot twist things where it's like, oh, by the way, they didn't kill each other. They went and like hid with the rest of everyone else that was hiding. It's like,
See,
what?
she's another one that I just don't want to see sitting on the throne. I feel like the
Sansa?
whole
I
ordeal.
hope-
Sansa
Yes.
won't
I like
take
Sansa.
the throne. I
What do
don't
you
think
mean?
she'll take the throne.
I'm-
Sansa does not have
She
a
rules
claim.
the
There
North.
is
She
no
only
claim
wants the
there.
throne of the
rules the
North.
North.
Eventually
only
the
wants the
claim
North.
can reach her depending on how deaths happen. But I sit there and say the way that she has evolved during all of this and what she has
She's been
become because of it.
amazing.
I
She's
know
been
that,
amazing.
but what she's become because of it may be the reason why not worthy of the throne anymore.
That's fine. She doesn't want the throne.
I-
She
What are
wants
you
to
I
rule
talking
think
the
about?
North.
Sansa. I think
Look,
Sansa's
there
a
is-
good
there-
queen.
I'm
There
saying
is
she's
zero
gotten broken
claim
over the
for
time.
Sansa
No,
to have
Sa-
the throne. Period.
Sansa's
Even
a
though
good
she
queen.
should be the
just,
hand.
she only wants the North, so like she's fine as queen of the North.
She should be.
She wants nothing to do with the South, but she will not submit
hand-
to the South.
First hand of the king, hand of the queen. That's what Sansa
I don't
should
think
be.
she'll settle for the like. I think she's
Oh my
got
God, we
enough
can't
pride
have a
that she's
woman
like, I'm
queen and a
queen in the
woman
North,
head of
and
the
I won't.
Yes, you can.
I won't be anything less than queen in the North.
But it doesn't matter because Dany's not the queen either, unless she.
I know,
marries
but
Jon
I'm just
Snow,
saying,
'cause
it's
he's
gonna.
Aegon
That's gonna.
Targaryen.
Well, I'm saying, so that's gonna be another, like, thing where things come to a head. Is
We're
if,
24 minutes past go
Oh.
time. All I want to say is the fucking dragon's gonna own the throne. He's gonna sit on the fucking throne. He's gonna roll in his fucking
Yeah,
throne gold.
I'm just saying, like, Sansa is fine. She's like, I'll be queen of the North, and you can be queen of the Six Kingdoms, and that would work out. But that's not gonna work out between either of them.
No, see, it's just not.
It's just not. Danny's like, I want all
Daenerys-
7,
Daenerys
and
fucking
Sansa's like,
knows.
I
She's
want
just
this
like, what?
1, and none of them will give ground on that, and that's gonna come to a head. And then now Jon is like, do I help my aunt/wife, or do I help my sister? Like,
Well, now he knows he's not like sisters with her, so he's like,
no, she's his half sister. They have the same mom. No,
no,
The same.
like cousin.
no,
She
they're
would be-
cousins. They're cousins. They're not sisters. They're cousins. Or I mean, they're not
Yeah.
brother sister. They're totally cousins. Yeah.
John's just like, can I get
So
a
help my
burrito?
cousin or help my aunt? Like, yeah. Sorry, I I was thinking yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna tell you right
Can
now.
I do
this
a
is like,
shout
This
out?
is like Mississippi of Thrones. It's like people just don't even know now.
Yeah, it's like-
Alabama.
it's just
Game
when
of
you start-
Alabama.
when you start
Game of
Can I do a
getting
shout
Alabama.
out?
when you start
Can I
getting
do a
incest,
shout out?
it's confusing.
So like
You wanna do a
Locavol
shot
the
out?
nub, a shot. I'll do a shot out.
Can,
So
can we do a
shots to
shot to
Locavol.
incest?
Can we
No,
do
no,
shots
God,
to
no,
death?
please,
and a
God,
shot
no.
to
Christ.
Locavol, the nub, who's actually like 3D printing ships, and I'm gonna meet him in Toronto, and he's actually like making me a simi, and I'm
Who
super
is?
fucking excited. Locavol. So he rated the stream
Oh,
earlier.
yeah,
so
that's
he
got
actually,
rated.
yeah,
Where
if
you-
you
where
click
you
his
meeting
name,
him,
click
though?
follow at the Eve event,
Oh,
Oh,
and so he's gonna bring the
I
simi,
thought
and
this
I'm
was
like,
like a secret meet or something.
is it
no,
gonna
no,
have
no,
the?
no.
Is it gonna
Oh,
have
actually,
the?
speaking of, I don't know. I have karaoke plans, so I'm gonna.
Planned?
That's-
Is it actually planned?
Yeah, like
Can-
I
can
have
we
it
say it out
reserved.
loud?
No. I want to vet it internally to make sure we're all gonna be aligned on when to do karaoke, and then
What
we're
do you
all
mean
gonna
vet
do
it
it.
internally? What, like with CCP?
No, like within the players. Like I want to do it when all the players want to do it. I don't care when CCP wants to do it. CCP has to listen to the players, remember?
How do you vet it internally with the players?
Meaning, I'm gonna fucking message you on Discord, Dirk, saying when do you want
Oh,
to
you
do
mean
karaoke.
us? Like open
Yeah,
comments.
yeah.
Not
what
the
about it with
players.
you
The
guys?
players is
no,
like
no. I'll
apparently
bet.
300,000
I'll
active
bet it with
players.
the Eve North guys. No, I'll bet it with
Oh,
the Eve
okay.
North guys. But Locavol is gonna be at Toronto, and he is absolutely amazing. So if you click his name, click follow. He's like he does 3D printing ships. He streams
Is that the
Eve,
nub or the noob?
the nub.
Okay, I'm just asking.
All right, but shots to Locavol, shots to Alabama or whatever.
Shots of fucking karaoke, shots of fucking Alabama of Thrones, and like, you know, whatever. Fuck Auburn.
Shots to no one dying.
Shots to Arya.
Shots to disappointing
That-
media.
I like
Three
that.
episodes
That laugh
left,
was that won't happen. But
3
anyway,
episodes. What are we gonna do after this?
all right,
Drink for no reason instead of drink
Dude,
for some made up
we've
reason.
done like 47 minutes of like what the fuck? Like we were almost
All
at
right.
We
half
have to
an
cut the
episode.
stream.
Half a
Yeah,
Game of
we're out.
Thrones episode.
we're out.
Later,
We'll
bitches.
figure out something else later. Bye.
Good night,
Alright,
everybody.
peace.
Later, bitches.
Alright, I should probably head to bed because